Oh, recording?
I
Great.
can't find
It is 6:15. Welcome to Manhattan Community Board 1. This is our monthly annual meeting. Pursuant to our agenda, we're going to start with the public session. And halfway through the public session, I'm going to ensure that I have quorum. We're really super close right now. So, yeah, okay, perfect. We might even be there. All right, so let's get rolling with our first person who would like to speak from the Safe Streets group. I know you have a whole group with you here, Lena, Janie, Daisy, Kate, Irma. Who's speaking? Are all of you speaking, or is it 3 or 4 of you who is actually speaking?
We're all speaking.
Okay,
It's
there's an awful,
us.
yeah, that's a really long time. I would ask that you not do 12 minutes of public speaking all in one session. So if you can figure out how to cut that in half, that would be best suited for the board.
Sure.
And make sure that you don't repeat yourselves because we can.
Absolutely.
Okay, so come over to the table, please, and join us. Whoever's going to speak, the top 3, introduce yourselves and welcome to Community Board 1.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Dahlia Goldenberg. I work at Families for Safe Streets, and I'm also a member because my ex-husband was injured by a turning car on a street in our neighborhood several years ago. And we know what speeding can do. So we're here tonight to just share a little bit of context about Sammy's Law and the regional slow zone that DOT is working on for this district. We understand that the board voted disapproval of it, and we are here to share some of the rationale for why hundreds of New Yorkers and hundreds of community organizations have been fighting for Sammy's Law to reduce the speed limit in our city from 25 to 20 in certain areas. Thank you.
You have another 30 seconds, but in the meanwhile, somebody is tuned in online and has their, yeah, okay.
And also turn off all the noises from your phones. Please don't hear any phone noise.
I'll just add that our organization consists of approximately 700 New Yorkers of all walks of life across the city who have all been directly impacted by car crashes, either having been injured and survived or having a family member who they lost to a car crash. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, please join us near the table and say your name. And for the person who's going to speak after you, you can have them stand right behind you, wherever you are comfortable.
Is there a mic or?
You see these nice little owls in the center of the table? They eyes turn and they are the microphone and the.
Come over here, there's room, somebody's sitting.
Okay, I'm fine standing up. Hi, my name is Nina Sapir, and I am from Brooklyn. I myself was a victim of traffic violence and was seriously injured, and the repercussions 10 years later have not ended. And my son was hit by a car as well, as he was crossing the street with a light. I'm also, I'm a healthcare provider. I'm also on my own community board, and I cannot say how incredibly disappointed I was in the vote from this community board, because we know every day Turn on 1010 wins, and you're going to hear person hit by a car while driving, while bicycling, hit by a car while crossing the street. It's rampant, and we need to do everything we can in our communities and support every measure we can in our communities that makes our communities safer for everybody. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. All right, let's reset the timer before the next person goes. Wow, you might even actually get all 12 of you in at this rate, a minute each. I'm liking it. Go ahead. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daisy Cito, and I'm a member of Families for Safe Streets. And I'm a member of Families for Safe Streets because my mom, Yudme Cito, at 89 years old, was hit by an SUV, Dodge Durango, crossing the street in Astoria, New York. Perhaps, I'm so sorry.
This is okay.
Take
Take your time.
Pause the
Don't
timer.
worry.
Pause the timer. Take a breath. We'll restart when you're ready. It's okay.
Perhaps if the speed limit was lower, that SUV that hit my mom. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Perhaps her traumatic injuries wouldn't have been so severe. She passed away on May 2nd, 2022, and I miss my mom every day. I apologize. Okay, every day. And I talk to my mom every day. Okay, I said, Mom, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And I said, Mom, I'm sorry I wasn't there crossing the street with you. And please, please, lowering the speed limit might have helped my mom. Maybe she would have been here with me. Please, please, I just beg you all, please, I miss my mom so much. She did so much for our family. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't miss her. Please, thank you. Thank you for giving us this time to share. And thank you for listening. Thank you. Sorry.
It's okay. Hi, welcome. Yep, you're in great shape.
Kate Brockwell. I became a member of FSS after I was hit as a pedestrian 6.5 years ago at Houston and Elizabeth. And the car that hit me was not speeding. There was no sun. It was late December, it was freezing cold. I was in the crosswalk, I wasn't running. I looked both ways before starting to cross. I had time on the light. Someone ahead of me in the crosswalk he'd seen and had let go. For people who this hasn't happened to, there's a tendency to think that pedestrians are running across traffic. And I think I understand that what the board did was try to say that you want to hear from DOT about the broader research. And what I just want to say is that every day that Sammy's Law isn't implemented, drivers will not change their behavior. I think more than anything, more than enforcement, more than anything else, this is a tool of education to get people to think that instead of going 25, which is actually you're fine going 34 is okay, that you need to slow down a little bit. 70% of drivers right now are exceeding the speed limit. 14% are exceeding it by more than 10 miles an hour. So if you were to agree to implement it sooner, I think the most important thing would be that there would be a period where drivers would start to become reaccustomed to the idea that maybe 20 is plenty. Just one statistic that for every 1 mile an hour reduction in speed, the crash rate decreases by 4 to 6% because drivers have more time to see everything. And the fatal crash rate decreases by 17% per mile per hour.
We're on time. Thank you very much. Who's next from your group?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Julian Williams, and I'm the mother of Danica Cook. Danica was my 21-year-old daughter who was tragically killed while we studied in your college. We were magna cum laude students in allied healthcare. I became a member of Families for Safe Street to help in any way I can to prevent what I still go through, the journey I'm on in this life, to happen to any other human being. It's a dark journey. It's hard, it's difficult. There's not a minute or second in my life I don't miss my beautiful daughter. She was my best friend. She was a great girl, great personality who cared about human beings. Danica was standing on the sidewalk when she was mowed down by a speeding car. So I stand here today, sadly. I represent all my other FSS members who cannot be here based on different circumstances, that please support the lower speed limit rule, whatever is to be passed to help drivers slow down in this area of New York City. I'm a grieving mom. I don't know what tomorrow brings, but my hope and my fight with Families for Safe Street is to prevent traffic violence on our streets, to help another mother grieve and live the rest of her life in tears and sadness over the death of their child, with a daughter or a son. I am very, very unhappy, and I beg you today, please, for Daniqua and all the lives lost, the parents and family members of our group, to support lowering the speed limit in this part of Manhattan. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be here to speak our truth. Blessings to you all. Lower speed limit, save lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, what's your name again?
My name is Julaine Williams. Yes.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for all speaking up this evening. You're welcome to stay as long as you'd like. I certainly will tell you, be careful crossing the street in front of our building. And with that, we're going to take a break from the public session to welcome Assemblymember Grace Lee. I really appreciate you coming tonight. I know you probably have to get to TV3 after this, so welcome.
We have one more.
I know, we'll come back to you.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. You're on.
Good evening, everyone. Great to see you. Just had a few updates I wanted to give about some of the things that my office has been working on. Just in terms of community engagement and events that we've been doing in and around the district. I recently hosted a roundtable with Senator Brad Hoylman-Siegel, elected officials and other state and city agency leaders with a group of LGBTQ youth. Talking about the specific, some of the experiences that they have at the intersection of being Asian American, LGBTQ. It's a really special opportunity for them all to speak, and just wanted to share some of that advocacy work that I'll be taking from that roundtable up to Albany next year. And actually was inspired by a local organization that does a lot of work with API LGBTQ youth in our district, Apex for Youth. So cool thing to do, and just wanted to share that with all of you. We hosted a shredding event next to the Park Library this morning. We'll have more. It seems like a very popular event. People came with boxes of documents, so we'll be doing more of that in the near future, as well as a waste recycling event that we did at Kinwell Square. So if these are events that you guys would like to see in your like on your blocks, please let us know, because we'd love to do more of them. You may have heard, but we were very active in the advocacy to get independent community monitor for the Chinatown community surrounding the jail, and worked very hard with Tammy and Alice to finally get Laura Dodge back. Many of you know her. I was actually one of the moms who helped to secure her contract when we were fighting against the brownfield cleanup site at 250 Water Street. So we're very excited to have her back to represent the Chinatown community, given a lot of the environmental concerns that the community has been having. So that's a great win, and I think CB1 can be really proud of the advocacy that we all did together on that. I also led a letter with Assemblymember Fall and Assemblymember Glick opposing the placement of the Link 5G cell towers. Again, I want to thank all of you. We used the comments from the resolution and the discussion during the community board meeting to inform what that letter looked like. And it sounds like you were pretty successful in getting in fighting back against a number of those towers. So, we'll continue to be active on this and making sure that we're advocating for a more balanced approach to the technological advancements, along with, the aesthetic and historical preservation of the community. Some other policy things that I've been working on. I passed a bill this past session called the Stop Hiding Hate Act. It was intended to help hold social media companies accountable for hate and harassment on their platform. Elon Musk and X approached Senator Hoyleman Siegel's office and my office to try and get amendments to the bill. They are currently fighting the bill's passing in California right now. We have denied that request because we are looking to make sure that we are advocating for the people and not for companies and certainly not for Elon Musk. So we are holding tight and really hoping that the governor will stand strong and pass the bill into law here in New York as they did in New York. We are also advocating for to expand the Omni MetroCard program. It's great that it's accessible for students who are traveling and who have a farther distance to travel for school. We have to have until law to expand the program, so it's not just two rides. Now kids get 4 rides a day, and it's 7 days a week. We're really trying to expand that to all students in New York. You know, we're advocating for that with other Manhattan electeds. And I recently announced $100,000 over the last 2 years in discretionary funding for the Literacy Academy Collective. Many of you know the mothers from CB1 who have been fighting so hard to make sure that we have great programs for those with differing reading needs in our public school system. And so using that to support that work and to make sure that they can do the teacher training that they need to do, as well as some of the summer programming that has been really beneficial to so many kids in the district. And those are my updates.
Does anybody from the board have questions for Grace? We'll start with Alice and then Wendy.
No question, just a big tip for Ray and heartfelt thanks for those extraordinary maneuvers he did on 5G on the independent monitoring. I wanted to just ask if you consider sponsoring a bill that actually is something that we've just become aware of, which is the Right to Know Lead Paint Act bill, S2353A, which basically is a requirement to have anybody who's selling residential real estate clean about what is and isn't lead paint.
Yeah.
And it's Brian Kavanaugh sponsored the bill, so it's something to.
Brian.
Oh, well, great. So maybe you'll consider co-sponsoring.
Brian, do you have an assembly sponsor? Yes. Yes. Yeah, already does. Right for it.
Anyway, just
Okay.
to be aware, support
I
it.
always ask him to give me the bills for this.
This one predates you, Assembly.
I'll give you a pass and stuff. Okay, yes, sounds right up my alley.
Wendy, you're next.
Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna ask you. Bravo on the updates. Tonight was really a lot of good news, and I was just gonna ask the same thing, if you could, we've heard in the past that it didn't get taken to the floor for a number of reasons, and we're hoping it passes this year. And I'm personally gonna be at the rally tomorrow at 1:30. So if anyone else wants to join, we hope it passes. Thank you so much.
That sounds great. And once we're back in legislative session, I would welcome CB1 to also, as they've done in the past, write a letter in support of it. And if we can get that to our legislative teams and to the.
Yeah, it's in our resolution.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Great. We would love that.
Yeah.
How much Albany visiting? Thank you.
Eric?
Yeah, hi, Grace. Do you have any update on what you're doing to prevent 320 Pearl Street from opening as a homeless shelter?
I really want to be respectful of the council member. I've been working very closely with the council member on this. We did a meeting ahead of the community board meeting with DHS about this site. I am, have a call into the first deputy mayor who just took office to talk about it. So, I don't have any immediate updates, but, I know that Christopher Marty's office has been working very hard to see what we can do.
All right. Any other board members have, Justine online? I apologize, Justine.
It's okay. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for calling on me. And Grace, thank you so much for getting a independent monitor for the borough-based jails. Kudos on that. That's great. I heard that correctly, correct? Yes? Laura Dodge? Great job. Thank you for that. That's so necessary and so needed to give people a voice, besides my brother, who need to have voices. And thank you for everything else. That's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
I think I'm gonna wind it up by saying, what we've learned on Community Board One is the power of our elected officials. So I want to thank you for the independent monitors. In terms of quality of life, there is nothing more precious than safety and health and welfare, and especially for Stevie One, who has already lived through so many things down here. That we actually think that with all the large resiliency projects now that we will have, that will frame our coastline from tip to tip, that actually an independent monitor should be advocated for the Battery Park City Authority project, for the city's seaport resilience, coastal resiliency, and the 5 Seaport Master Plan, because the best people to take care of the citizens are independents.
Right.
So I want to thank you. You've set a great precedent with our other electeds putting forward, and I'm going to lay the gauntlet down for our other electeds. We're putting it in our budget requests in the city, but you'll hear more from us.
Okay, amazing. And just, I think I may have mentioned this on a previous community board meeting, but Brian and I passed a law that was inspired by the work that we did at 250 Water Street, which would require any brownfield cleanup site next to a school or daycare to automatically get a grant from the state to be able to hire their own independent community monitors to represent the community. So that was inspired by, all the work and advocacy we've done together. And so, hopefully that can help to set precedents that we need for other projects as well.
Thank you, Grace. We say hi to our colleagues over at CB3, and I know Brian Kavanaugh's online. I'm gonna let Brian go. I apologize for the sections of the public, but Brian is sick. So we're trying to get them out of the way so they can save their voices and have some soup.
Liberty.
Now go Liberty, go Liberty.
Go Liberty.
Liberty.
Go Liberty.
Yeah, about, let the Liberty have their sunlight.
Exactly. Brian,
Women.
you're up.
Am I up?
You're up.
Thank you. Go Mets.
Told us that you need good sleep.
Sorry. Yeah, it's, not only, I'm kind of sick, and I will note a couple of my colleagues in the office, including Dan, who normally would be with you in person, is also sick. So we're a little bit understaffed, resourced at the office at the moment, but thank you for the opportunity to appear remotely here. Just a few, Grace reported on a few of the things that I wanted to cover. Our working group on the Manhattan detention complex continues. We will be getting notice out about a November meeting soon. And yes, it's very good news that we really pushed the city to fund this independent monitor. It was a fairly complicated process to get it contracted and out and get responses. Of course, we didn't pick Laura Dodge, but we made sure that this RFP was out, and we're very excited that she is the winner of that contract. And as many people on the board know, she's been terrific in other projects, particularly to do other. We also have had meetings with some of the neighbors and stakeholders, not just the siblings of members of CB1, but also just other folks who occupy the Chuck Pot building. We've had a lot of meetings where we trying to make sure that the city is doing everything it can to mitigate the kind of negative effects of those buildings, including recent meetings we've had where there's some work that is supposed to be done at Chung Pak through an HPD contract that's long overdue. So we're trying to resolve that and get that moving before the end of this calendar year. But we're having a lot of side meetings on that, and of course we'll get the whole working group together probably in the second week of November. We've also been we're aware that there's been a lot of concern about traffic near the Holland Tunnel, and members of the board have been involved in that. And we've been reaching out to the Port Authority and the DOT and the NYPD traffic enforcement to try to get this better. It's kind of like bedlam with the traffic there trying to get into the tunnel and pedestrians and lots of conflicting uses of the space. I will note that many years ago, as a younger assembly member, I passed the bill that allows the city to ticket blocking the box without treating it as a moving violation. You can basically ticket the car, sort of like a speed camera ticket, which is much easier to do in a situation where there's lots of cars blocking this section. Because if you have to pull them over and ticket the driver, it's really infeasible when you're trying to clear up congestion. So we are hoping that the city will make more use of that in this particular location. And we're also talking, getting some of your ideas and talking about signage and other things that we can take, that'll improve the situation. I also was very happy to attend the event that Grace Lee mentioned before with the LGBT youth. It really was, I was at the door. It really was inspiring. I think we heard a lot about the particular services there. And I thank Grace and our colleague, Brad Loyalman for, co-chairing that. But it was a good turnout of lots of elected officials. Just a note, it is the election that seems endless is finally upon us. Election day, of course, is November 5th, but early voting begins this weekend. I spent a lot of years trying to enact early voting in New York, and we finally got it done a few years ago. So this Saturday at 8 a.m., early voting sites will open throughout the city. So, please do, this is a nonpartisan setting, but please do take the opportunity to vote, including there are ballot measures on the back of the ballot as well. So please do turn it over and make sure you're voting. We're in the process. I'm not going to spend too much time on this today, but we are already in the process of gearing up for the next legislative session. I appeared recently at an event at the New School at Parsons, co-sponsored by the Solid Waste Advisory Board of Manhattan regarding textile waste. Some of you may know I spent a lot of my time trying to figure out how to diminish waste, create a more circular economy. Extended producer responsibility is the notion that producers of waste ought to take responsibility for the full life cycle, including disposal and recycling. And so I have this legislation on textiles that was particularly the topic of that, but we're gearing up for a broad range of those things which save money and for the city and improve the environment quite a lot. We also I appeared recently at an event in the district on undesigning, it's called Undesign the Red Line. It's about our continuing need for anti-discrimination, both additional resources and additional enforcement in that area. That's something we've been working on for a few years. And although we've tripled the amount of money the state spends on those programs in recent years, it's going to continue to be a priority coming into the coming year. And I know you are taking up a resolution on the Right to Know Act, which is about lead exposure, which continues to be really happen at totally unacceptable levels, particularly outside New York City, although any lead exposure is too much lead exposure. So there's that bill. We have another bill that we've also been working on with colleagues regarding how insurance companies deal with damage caused by lead exposure. So that is going to be a big priority as part of my work, both environmental, health and housing. So again, I appreciate you taking that up and look forward to your support on that. I think I'll stop there. I also aware you're working a lot on the Route 9A and buses, which I look forward to your resolution. But that seems like a great idea to me.
Thank you. We're going to go Justine, and then John Scott, and then Eric.
I'm just saying thank you for everything you
Sure.
do, Senator Kavanaugh. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jill?
Yeah, hi, Bill Better, Senator. This is about very few remaining somewhat rent-stabilized apartments left in your district, particularly, we're talking about Gateway Plaza. Our city council members suggested at this time, we get together a group of our electeds and community leaders and begin work on trying to preserve those small number of remaining units. Would you be interested in being a leader of this group and taking a strong role in it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as you know, I played a strong role in the previous negotiations. The principal party to those negotiations, the Battersburg City Authority itself plays a role, but you also have the owner of that building is one of the strongest opponents of rent stabilization in the city. But yeah, I think it's worth having, the expiration of the current agreement is still a few years old, but I think it's certainly worth considering and maybe seeking a meeting with Battersburg City Authority and possibly the property owner, the landlord. I'd certainly be happy to be involved. I'll reach out to the council member to get his thoughts on that as well.
Okay, thank you.
John Scott.
Good evening, our state senator Kavanaugh. I have a question. The lead bill was passed in the assembly, but it wasn't passed in the Senate. Can you explain to me why it wasn't? And if there's anything that we could do to make sure that your other senators put this on the docket, that it could be voted on?
Yeah, we need to push for it. As you know, there were a wide range of very big ticket housing items and environmental items that were on the agenda last year. And there are many items that were passed by one house and not the other. And of course, we did a very broad housing package, but I've been fighting for this for a long time. I'm very committed to it. I think we need a harder push. It gets resistance from real estate interests, from realtors oppose it. And so I think we just need to push back. And like for me, I held a hearing with as chair of the housing committee jointly with the health committee a couple of years ago on lead. We are looking to have another hearing on lead exposure. This is one aspect of it. There are other very important measures we should take as well. But there's no magic to this other than I think we need to make sure this is at the top of, a top priority for this year and get it done.
Thank you very much. Eric?
Yeah, hi, Senator Kavanaugh. What are you doing to stop the opening of the homeless shelter at 320 Pearl Street, which is adjacent to Peckslip School? And would you support legislation to prevent homeless shelters from opening a minimum distance from schools in the future?
Yeah, you asked me this question the last time I appeared here. I don't believe. Sorry, I don't believe that the siting of these facilities is something that the city works on very specifically. As Grace noted, the council members working specifically on this facility and the community board. I don't think a blanket rule about distances is a sensible thing for the state legislature to take up for the whole state. And I also don't believe that such a proposal would pass easily and get signed by the governor. So I'm not focusing on that right now. I have been involved in the conversations and some of the meetings that Grace mentioned about minimizing the impact of this facility. We've been meeting with the school and with the city and with the provider and with community leaders on this, and we'll continue to be involved in the conversation. But I'm not contemplating legislation at this time.
Thank you very much. Jared, you're next. Oh, let me reset the timer. Sorry, keep going. Yep, all right, go.
First off, thank you, Senator, for your efforts on the traffic around the Holland Tunnel. Dan and your office has been amazing on that front as well. My question is unrelated to that, though. We have a month left in hurricane season. We've seen the sort of devastation that's happened in Florida and North Carolina, and there's a lot of resiliency work going on throughout Lower Manhattan. But the section on the west side, north of the Battery, is left completely sort of unaddressed at this point. And it's one of the locations that had one of the few fatalities in Hurricane Sandy, right off of West Street there. This is sort of directed, I guess, to you and to other electeds that will speak later. But it concerns me, it's not even a question, it's more of a comment. It concerns me that we're not prepared in the event something, the next Hurricane Sandy comes. And as efforts are built up in the northern section of Barry Park City, up to and across, I believe, North Moore, where does that water go? And I think we have a pretty good idea where it goes. I think we need some attention on that.
I agree with you with your general point. It is, I was not the senator during Sandy, but I was a representative of the east side of Manhattan in the assembly, and personally ran, kind of response and relief operations during that time. It is remarkable to me that so many years have elapsed and we're still, we haven't built a lot of the infrastructure that we need. We do have a few big projects that are moving forward. The stretch that you meant, I agree also that more thinking and work and planning needs to go into the stretch that you're talking about. It is, my understanding, less vulnerable than some of the other parts of lower Manhattan, just because it is generally higher elevation. So it's not, to the extent they've prioritized, the city and the state have prioritized other stretches of the coastline, it was probably wise to prioritize them. But as you know, a system like this doesn't work unless it is comprehensive. And so I have had conversations with state and city agencies urging them to come up with more specific plans for that stretch. This is a helpful reminder that we do need to make sure it's comprehensive. And I will, I'll reiterate if you want to follow up with me more specifically about that, about those conversations. But I think we should, I'll revisit the question with the city and the state to figure out how we can get a comprehensive plan into that portion of the coastline.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Jared and Alice will follow up with you. It's one of our budget asks.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I know where I'm talking to, but we have a West Side Resiliency Task Force that we've requested, and it's been actually honored in some way, but not yet enacted. So it'd be really wonderful if we could get this off the ground, and this includes the Battery Park City Authority. So there is some movement afoot for an actual resiliency or West Side Resiliency Task Force. So it isn't completely nascent, so it'd be good if we can send you that letter.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We had conversations about various task force with all the elected federal, state, and city, and a bunch of state and city agencies. It's a little while back now. We had reiterated the request ourselves. Whether they agree to a task force, somebody ought to be planning for basically all of the coastline that might be vulnerable, and certainly that stretch is, again, I think it's worth emphasizing for anybody who might be listening. It is probably not as vulnerable as some other portions where we're still where we have projects that are not built, that are planned but not built. But I do think that the planning for that stretch definitely lags. So again, I'll review your requests, in your commentary in the past, which I have seen in the past, but I'll revisit the issue and try to get a better answer for you in the near future.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Senator Kavanaugh? Seeing no hands in the room and no hands online, thank you, Senator Kavanaugh. Thank you, Dan. I'm pleased, very grateful that neither one of you showed up because you're both sick. So stay home. Feel better.
We tried. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to go back to the public session. Mimi, please start this. We have the timer for 2 minutes. We have one more person from Safe Streets, I believe.
And 2 online.
2 online.
But we can't do all 12 of you. So we've had 4 of you go. You have 2 people left. So pick your 2, and then we go from there. If you need a moment, I'm happy to recognize someone else.
Then we could go to Janie Ho online.
Pardon?
Janie online.
Okay, that's no worries. Janie Ho, your hand is up.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello?
We can indeed. Welcome to Community Board 1.
Okay, thank you. Hello, a quick note about traffic violence in downtown. My name is Janie Ho and I live in Staten Island. The financial district in all of Lower Manhattan is my favorite part of the city, where my parents worked my whole life and where I was happy to work as an editor at the New York Daily News, finally leaving the stress of working in Manhattan. Years ago, I was hit by a driver. It was a hit and run. I was on the front page of the Staten Island Advance. They shared my long journey after and how almost none of the rising hits or hit and runs in Staten Island ever really get looked at, let alone see justice. I had 5 broken bones. I spent 3 weeks in the hospital. I stayed up all night in hand quivering, teeth chattering pain. A lot of people get hit and live. No one knows their quiet life after. Your days of carefree wanderings in urban areas end abruptly and forever. Years later, I flash back daily. It's like getting shot and now you're surrounded by speeding bullets every day. Maybe the driver was drunk or distracted or just unintentional. It doesn't matter. He or she was reckless and speeding. Speeding doesn't mean burning rubber. It means going too fast to make a reasonable stop for a human. They saved a few seconds to their next stop sign or red light. Speeding, even just a bit, is the default. Many in New York are default speeders, aggressive or reckless, just because that's how it is in New York. In Jersey, they slow down from 10 feet away. Here, they speed up. People walk a lot of their time in New York, and most of it is stressful. You look in 5 directions when crossing, and even then, you're still unsure. In Staten Island, the joke is that everyone drives so crazy. They post about covering cameras, how you need to keep up, how the city won't stop until it's 5 miles per hour, and how you'd be insane to ride a bike, even on a wide street with their SUVs. And they win because no one rides in this suburb or walks because they would be killed. Communities pay a price for drivers' comfort of speeding to the next red or stop signs, pedestrian-heavy areas. Idiot-proofing our streets with a reasonable speed limit and a big 10-mile-per-hour grace range before getting a fine is a small accommodation to make to keep up with the walking-heavy Lower Manhattan, to keep them in peace in an increasingly stressful city to live and walk in. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. You guys, you have Max who is online or somebody in the room. You can choose, but one more person, that's it.
I'll speak.
All right, Max, so sorry. Go for it. Please welcome to the table, say your name, and then we move on to the next topic. Huh?
Right here.
Don't worry, they're in the middle of the table. We'll find you.
Hi, my name is Emily Jacoby. I'm with Transportation Alternatives and here to speak on behalf of your last meeting on the regional slow zones. We just wanted to say that there might have been some miscommunication in the DOT presentation about the inclusion of 9A as part of the implementation of Sammy's Law and the regional slow zone. 9A is exempt, and I understand it was amended or voted on to further study 9A's inclusion and the effects on it. So I just want to encourage the board to look comprehensively at the benefits of not only implementing a regional slow zone, but being the first in the city to do so, and the story that's going to tell to the prioritization of pedestrian safety here in Lower Manhattan that can encourage the rest of the city to follow suit. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming and thank you for speaking up. Emily, we were pretty clear and it was pretty specific that DOT said that West Street was included. And it was part of the presentation and that's one of the discussions that we had. So you may want to touch base with our DOT and yeah, and we'll talk to you at another time. So that is great. Max Murphy signed up. Murphy from 10 Hanover. I apologize. Max, if you still like to speak, please raise your hand.
Hello.
Max? Hi, Max.
Hi. I live I live just a block from Wall Street. I work over in Battery Park City over at American Express. I wanted to first talk about the solicitation in Battery Park as a pedestrian and as someone who uses transit in our district. It would be really helpful to be able to access the 1 and the R train without being solicited for a tour that appears to not even be official within that area. I also wanted to talk about the dire kind of pavement conditions on Water Street. I take a bus to work, that downtown connection bus, and the pavement conditions on Water Street are really, really extremely poor, and I hope at some point DOT deals with it. In support of the larger speeding talks, I've seen a lot of speeding on Water Street, Fulton Street, Church Avenue, and Broadway. All of those streets, especially if there's no traffic on them, people just fly down them because they're straight and they have multiple lanes. If we could get any kind of speed camera in those specific streets, I think that would be a major win for the community, and especially all the students that kind of live and operate in this area. At the kind of end of this little testimony, did want to say that the national fatality rate for traffic violence is 12.9 in the United States and 2.9 here in New York City. And I think Sammy's Law could help even drive that number down even further. We know every 1 mile of speed reduction leads to 17% reduction in fatalities. So with all of that being said, I hope you consider some of those points and continue doing the good work that you guys are doing, improving, transportation in our district. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Max, I've got good news for you. Please come to the executive committee in November. Please check our website for the calendar. We've invited DCWP, which is the agency that provides the licenses for the third-party ticket sellers that you're referring to in Battery Park. We have had NYPD do sweeps in that area. We have had lots of discussions with the Department of Parks, the Battery Conservancy, and NYPD. So we've invited DSNY, which is responsible for the in-park vending cleanup, and DCWP, who issues the licenses, to see if we can start to advocate for some kind of policy changes for uniforms and IDs and telephone numbers and all kinds of complaint lines and stuff. So come to that meeting. We hope to have a robust dialogue. And Max, please. This is Max from City Council Member Marte's office.
Hi, Max. Yeah, Max from Councilman Marquez's office. I can also just add that, yeah, we've also been working with DCWP to try and figure out policy changes for Battery Park City vending. So, yeah, keep an eye out. Yeah, we should have things in the future on that as well.
As with everything else, it takes some bit of a challenge to coordinate, and coordination from the community comes best. With that, I think I've gotten everybody who wanted to speak now, and we move to our elected representative. Did you sign in? Oh, sorry.
Yes, Andre Lucan.
Yes, sorry, I missed you. Go ahead. Come to the table, please introduce yourself. And my apologies that I didn't get you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andre Lukin. It's my first time ever to attend a meeting like this because the issue is very important to me. I'm here to express my support for lowering speed limits in Manhattan. Many streets in Europe have implemented lower speed zones, which made it much safer for the cities, much safer for the drivers, including the drivers. There is no reason for American cities should be different. I ride a bicycle to get around. For those who still don't know, it is the most efficient way to move around Manhattan. But speeding cars make it less safe. Lowering speed limits with enforcement will lead to more people choosing riding a bicycle instead of cars, which will create more safe streets. Simply because fewer cars will be on the streets, which in itself will help emergency vehicles to get to places quicker. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for speaking. Now with that, we're going to go down our elected reps. So usually we close the public session, start the public hearing, and then go. So just give me 1 second. We close the public session. The public hearing was about community input for city defense and capital budget, which is a public hearing at 7:04. Opening the public hearing at 7:04, the only person who signed in was Luke Tamarick, but Luke, I believe, was speaking about the slow zones and signed in for the wrong side. So let's see if he has a budget request. If he does not, and I don't see him anywhere. So hearing none, seeing none, seeing no hands in the room, we close the public hearing at 7:05. We'll start the business session. We do have quorum. So let's do an adoption of the September 2024 minutes.
Call the question.
Second.
This is roll call for everybody in the room. And Mimi, want to take it away?
Yes. Blank?
Yes, Mike, yes.
Brown Kennedy? Cameron?
Cameron, yes.
Thank you. Kissel?
Still, yes.
Thank you. Chang? Chapman?
Yes.
Thank you. Charcuterian?
Charcuterian, yes.
Thank you. Cole?
Cole, yes.
Thank you. Coleman?
Coleman, yes.
Thank you. Corman?
Corman, yes.
Thank you. Curtis?
Curtis, yes.
Thank you. Airman?
Skip me, but I think I'm excused absence, and Cooch is a yes.
All right, there's a
Kucha, sorry about that.
black bar over your name.
Blank spot over my name. Oh, bad news.
Sorry.
That's okay. But I think I'm allowed to vote, right, Tammy?
Yes, you're good.
Got
Thank
it.
you. So yes, I vote yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where were we? Airman,
Airman.
absent. Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, well done. Yes. Mimi Flynn, yes. Forsberg. Friedman.
Friedman, yes.
Thank you. Croman.
Coleman, yes.
Thank you. Galloway.
Galloway, yes.
Thank you. Goodkind.
Goodkind, yes.
Thank you. Hernandez. He's here.
Come back in Hernandez, because I think he just made a.
Hernandez.
Yes, where we.
You're voting.
Oh, yeah.
What's your, say your name and then what your vote is.
I don't know
You
what.
approve the minutes.
It's the minute.
Okay, present, all right, present.
You have to say something.
Yes.
Ershad? James?
She'll be late.
Joyce?
Joyce, yes.
Thank you. Okay. Betty?
You're on mute, Betty.
Doesn't look like she's on mute.
No, it's not coming through.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Say it again.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. Canal? Copel? Lerner? Lewinson?
Yes.
Thank you. Lynn? Lyon?
Lyon, yes.
Meltzer?
Meltzer, yes.
Thank you. Minsley?
Minsley, yes.
Thank you. Moore?
More, yes.
Thank you. Candia?
I'm here, yes.
Thank you. Portia Corey?
Or yes.
Thank you. Desi?
No, second.
Sad. Rossi? Scott?
Scott, yes.
You probably has a meeting.
Shear?
Here, yes.
Thank you. Star?
Star, yes.
Thank you. Jimmy Song?
Yes.
Thank you. Vera Song? Yes. Thank you. Terry? Thompson? Townley? Eric Yu?
Yes.
Thank you. Zelter?
He needs to approve remote.
Sometimes show that.
Yeah, it's not here right now.
All right.
All right. Awesome. Who is speaking online? Who was that?
It was a phone.
Okay, well, moving along, we have our elected reps, and so we'll start with, we're gonna go in this order.
Wait,
What?
wait, I think I messed. Curtis?
So, yeah.
Yes, as I did. I vote twice.
Black line over her nose too.
Okay, since we have a lot of elected reps in the room today, we'll do speed dial if you can, right, as much as you can. We'll go in this order. Tevin from Congressman Goldman's office, Tracy from Assemblymember Glick, Andrew Chang from the Borough President, who is in the room and somehow online or everywhere today. And then we'll go to Councilmember Max from Councilmember Marte, Lupe from the Public Advocate, Peter from the district attorneys and hold with our financial controller and Evelyn to wind us up. So. Yep, 2 minutes. That's why I said.
Who's here tonight?
Hi, everyone, Kevin from Congressman Goldman's office. Happy LGBTQ History Month. Just one quick update on the district side. The congressman secured an extension of reimbursement for SNAP benefit funds through the budget. There's been a lot of fraud across the district and across America. This is a huge piece of our district that was experiencing this. And due to the Congressional Appropriations Act of this year, those funds are now going to be reimbursed to constituents that were dealing with that across New York City and in America. And then just on the DC front, I just want to give a quick update. The congressman sent a letter to the YouTube CEO, Neil Mohan. Sorry, I got that wrong. Immediately addressing the gaps in the implementation of age restriction policy. As many of you know, there was an unfortunate tragedy in my home state of Georgia with the shooting that happened at the high school just a few weeks ago. This person accesses information when it comes to guns, and there is not as much restrictions as there are when it comes to age restrictions on YouTube content. So this is a very big deal that 15 members of his colleagues joined and sent this letter to the CEO. I don't have to tell all of you because many of you are so engaged, but please vote. There's a huge election coming.
Yes.
Don't want to get into that, but I appreciate all of y'all doing work, whether you're doing that very civic engagement, or also offsite with the work that you do. The congressman brings you greetings, plans on coming to one of these meetings before the end of the year, so I will let you know all of that. Ahead of the to the chair and vice chair, I'll let you know when that happens. Otherwise, I'm good. Any questions for me? I'll be very great. And I have board reports in the back as well.
Just a quick request when you come the next time, if you could give us the update on the, I know we talked about this a lot, on the federal prison, on the, what's happening at that site.
It's NBC, yeah. I didn't ask me about it, but I connected them to my colleague. I can't remember who it.
Well, probably likely me, but 10 years from now, I still don't have the answer to that. It seems like there must be some, even if it's a renovation, just to let us know. It's important. It's a huge site and it's going on Park Road, which of course is being renovated. So that'd be important.
I can email you the person.
Any other hands up?
Thanks a lot.
Seeing no hands, but either online or in the room, thank you very much. Kevin, moving on. Tracy?
Hello. Hi, I'm Tracy Jackson, Chief of Staff to Assemblymember Deborah Glitch. One, you may have been watching the city's, City of
Yes.
Assemblymember Glitch submitted testimony with our board report on the table. If anyone is curious, her primary concern is that the proposal doesn't mandate affordable housing. But she lays out a few other concerns as well, and you can certainly pick that up or contact our office for more information from her. Another council issue coming up is next Tuesday, the 29th. The city council is hosting a hearing on the impact of hospital closures. So if that's something that is important to you, you may think about providing testimony. There are details on how to do that on our board report as well. And then I would echo my colleagues who said that we have an election coming up. And again, as Senator Kavanaugh said, there are ballot proposals that you may wish to become familiar with, including the Proposition 1, which would enshrine equal rights into the state constitution. And we can provide more information if you have questions on that. And then finally, how am I doing? Finally, tomorrow, our office is joining a few other state offices. I'm not sure who else yet, but to get a briefing from the State Department of Transportation on the 9A studies.
Oh, we asked to be included in that because, yeah.
So
the last to know, never a lot of fun.
I which other offices are invited?
I know Kavanaugh's office was.
They told us they're rolling this out, but anyway, we're meeting with them tomorrow. If you have a copy of or a draft of the reso that you want to share with me, it would be helpful,
Exactly.
and we'll stay in touch as we learn more. But it's my understanding that there will be many meetings to come on that topic.
We did, thank you very much. I'm gonna go first for comments, just so you know. We actually, Zach and I had a follow-up meeting with Port Authority about a couple topics that we were working on with them. They had no idea, even though they occupy all of the cross streets from Vesey through practically Albany, it was really striking to me that they had no idea that a study was being done of state DOT. So we asked Dan in Kavanaugh's office to connect Port Authority through the state DOT on this. It is not just elected, you need to talk to the stakeholders. And it's a little disconcerting. We know they're going to CB2, but they haven't approached us, so.
Well, I will tell, and Dan actually texted me earlier to say that he's encouraging them to come to your board as well. We also have been asking them almost weekly for several months for information. So we're all in the same boat, not getting enough information yet, but we'll stay in close touch for sure.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for Assemblymember Glick? I will say I skipped over Chris online from the mayor's office, so apologies to Andrew Chang, but we're gonna let Chris from CAU at the mayor's office go. Chris, I think you're here somewhere.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Williams. I'm with Assistant Commissioner, Community Affairs Unit at the Mayor's Office. Just had a couple points. Some of them already been shared, but just kind of wanted to get the opportunity just to chat. Thank you again. As you all know, the mayor announced a ticker tape parade that's going to be happening and celebrating the Liberties WNBA championship. We're very excited. This is their first championship in their 28-year history. And I'm sure you already know the parade is going to be kicking off Thursday, 10 a.m. at the Battery. It's going to proceed along the Canyon of Heroes on Broadway through Lower Manhattan. And then there's going to be a ceremony celebration at City Hall. Then the Liberty is also going to have another celebration at the Barclays Center on Thursday. Secondly, the first section of the East Side Coastal Project Resiliency has been completed. It's a major milestone in an effort to protect the Lower East Side against sea level rise and the growing threat of stronger, more severe storms. And this project was completed ahead of schedule and under budget. It is a huge step forward in protecting this community. And last but not least, I wanted to state, which I'm sure you already heard of, it was in the news last week, but the mayor, along with Governor Hochul, celebrated new tax incentives to build tens of thousands of affordable housing units. HPD, Housing Preservation and Development, received a letter of intent for approximately 650 buildings. And through this extension of the 428 tax incentive program, it's being estimated that 71,000 new homes, including 21,000 affordable units, are expected to be built. And
hey,
that
do
is
you
my
mind
report.
letting us know exactly how many are in our neighborhood?
I will find out and let you know, sure.
Yeah, that's a good people.
Anybody have any questions for Chris from the CAU office?
Oh, I think.
Eric?
Yeah, Chris, as the mayor's representative, I just want to tell you, a lot of his constituents, they're scared and worried about this homeless shelter at 320 Pearl Street. So just relay that for us, and I hope the mayor changes his mind. And, we've been doing it.
If you need any of our resolutions about 320 Pearl, we'd be delighted to send them to you, Chris, if you need to be caught up. Do let us know.
Sure, you can definitely send that to me and I will let my colleagues know as well. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, right.
Okay, great. Morton?
Yes, Chris, to follow up on some of my colleague Eric just said, there was a report that was published in the media last week about conflicts of interest and issues with homeless shelter providers, and it did mention some issues with Breaking Ground, which is the shelter provider at the Pearl Street location. And I wonder if this disclosure has caused any reevaluation of the propriety and the awarding of a contract to Breaking Ground to operate this shelter.
I do not know specifically if anything has changed with Breaking Ground, but I can look into it. I am aware of the information that you're sharing, but I will find out if any process. I have not been told of anything, but I will double check.
And while you're working in inquiry,
Chris, there is a large document that was produced by the DOI for investigations of the shelters, and Breaking Ground is well listed on there. There's a public hearing coming up for that. we would really appreciate a response prior to the public contract hearing for breaking ground.
Also, while you're making an inquiry, perhaps an inquiry could be made whether there's any conflict of interest in awarding the shelter to on a property that is owned and owned by a slave, I think a slave property group or whatever the slave entity is called, given their record and relationship with in the election cycle, I wonder if there could be any reevaluation of that consideration of that location based on that. Thank you.
Yes, I will definitely look into that.
Okay. Seeing no other hands in the room and hearing nothing else online, thank you very much, Chris, for joining us.
Thank you.
I hope you have the contact information for our office. We hope to hear from you before week's end. We'd really like to hear from you before the public hearing happens for the contract finalization to the RFP with breaking ground. Okay,
Understood. Thank you.
you're welcome. Andrew Tang.
Hi, Andrew from the Manhattan President's Office. I have 4 things I want to mention. First off, we're doing our community leadership training series next week. I sent information to Lucy, Zach, and Tammy, and I believe they sent it up to y'all. It's for the new community board members, returning members, public members, community board staff, to learn more about, land use, conflict of interest board, Robert's Rules and governance, it covers various topics.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Housing, finance, open city data, and they're all going to be virtual except for one session on emergency preparedness, which will be held here at the Manhattan Borough President's Office in this room. So,
Does this mean
you
I
can
have no
also
battery?
go to the resources section on our website for more information. If you didn't receive the email already.
Not doing it.
Secondly, we released a senior resource guide. It's also on the resources section of our website. It has information on senior centers,
I think it means.
transportation, housing, legal assistance. Third, we released a letter regarding information, sort of like a one-page summary about composting information for community members and residents.
Thank you for that.
Did to y'all, and y'all should have received it by now.
We distributed.
And if you want more information, go to our initiative, the initiative section on our website and look for composting. And lastly, we wrote a letter to the MTA regarding their capital plan. We noticed some shortfalls in their funding. We strongly urge the need for funding for accessibility, screen doors, and so on and so forth. And the MTA said they were piloting screen doors. So hopefully that can lead something greater than beyond the pilot stage. And that's my report for this evening. Thank you.
I have a slide in my slides for the community board trainings. The email came out just before the meeting. I added it to the slide. We'll be distributing that tomorrow. Just look at that. Darren, Richard, and then.
Good evening. Thank you for your report tonight. For those of us who can't attend, I'm gonna be out of town for most of next week, but when's the next safe training series planned for us?
Yeah,
Yes.
we are most likely be in the spring, but
We
typically record a session, so you can also.
We can do that.
Yeah.
How long does it take before it's a couple weeks before it gets up there? And before it's recording?
Yeah, I'd say maybe
I'll follow
a week or so, yeah.
Okay. Richard.
Yes, hi.
And then.
Some time ago, the borough president produced a report of potential sites for affordable housing.
Yeah.
Do you know has there been any follow-up to that? Is there any plan around proceeding with some or all of those sites?
That's a question I can follow up with our land use team. I know, yeah, you're right. We did a list for a report, and we also asked for suggestions on where their community members notice open sites for potential housing. But yeah, I'll follow up there.
Okay.
I thank you for your report. This comment is also for my name, okay? On composting, it's being rolled out, it's a pretty big behavior change for folks. I often find that initiatives are going out, but we need to support it with education and outreach. I think you'll find that a lot of buildings aren't doing it. I mean, I've already ranked my building. So I'm not trying to get everyone fined, but maybe a fine would help. But I do think in like education and spending money on education to help people understand how to compost, how to solve the issue of where you put the bin. I know there's webinars done, but I just think if we spend less than $1 a person on our education program to help the city. I would encourage more funding for education on the initiative specifically related to composting, which is 35 to 40% of our municipal solid waste. And if we didn't have to pay the $450 million a year to truck that out, we could use that fund.
More than that.
Thank you very much, Ashma. Alice, your last one.
Hi, Andrew. Thanks. I just wanted, the Manhattan Borough President had written a very good letter about the 5G cell towers and his opposition, essentially, or his desire to put a moratorium until we really looked at all of the existing infrastructure and tried to utilize that in a more thoughtful way. In fact, the letter was so good that we quoted it in our own resolution here. Could you give us an update as to where his strategy proposal is gone in terms of City Bridge and OTI's response to that letter?
Okay, I can talk to my policy colleagues regarding
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrew. If you could get in touch with Zach about the policy for the signing off on the 5G letter that we did
Yes.
for the FCC, that would be great.
Yes. Yeah, Chris said this.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Max, you're up next.
Hey, everyone. I'm Acting Council Member Christopher Martin's office. So I'll, try and go quick. So to start with, just some community updates. On Sunday, the council member joined Jared and the Tribeca North Neighborhood Association for a community cleanup around the Holland Tunnel area. And I think if anyone is interested in doing kind of community cleanups in your neighborhood, reach out to us, because I think, we want to do more of them. And I learned a lot of how to organize them now. So I think I know a bit more how to do it. So we're happy to work with you all on that. And then participatory budgeting, ideas submission is open this year. This is a program where the public can submit ideas for projects in our district, such as funding schools, planting new trees, fixing up parks. And then later in the year or in the spring, the public will vote on them, and then we allocate $1 million to fund whichever project gets the most votes. And so you Google, participatory budgeting, New York City. You can go on the website, you can find District 1 and submit ideas for projects you want funded. On legislation, so we have two big legislation introductions happening tomorrow on rallies. So first, so many lower income seniors and people with disabilities can receive what's called an OTC card through their health insurance. It's where they might get, it's similar to an EBT card, they might get $300 a month to spend on fresh produce, groceries, medication. But the issue is that a lot of stores don't know about this and they don't accept OTC cards. So you might have someone who is 80 years old with a walker who has to go to Brooklyn, who lives in the Lower East Side to, be able to afford, buy their groceries. And so we're going to be introducing legislation tomorrow that will require most businesses accept OTC cards and also create a marketing campaign for just all businesses across the city to know that these things exist, because the issue is that a lot of business owners just don't know these things exist because they're smaller than, say, EBT cards. And we'll also be having a press conference and rally on Broadway outside City Hall at 11 a.m. tomorrow in support of this legislation. It has support of customers, of the business owners, of the kind of healthcare companies, the OTC card companies. Really, everyone is in support of this. So we're really hoping that to get that passed. And then we're also introducing legislation tomorrow. So basically, you might have heard about the city's plan to transition city retirees onto Medicare Advantage. This is a plan where basically for decades, city retirees were promised contractually to get traditional Medicare when they retire. But in 2021, and then the de Blasio administration, the Adams administration is trying to force over 250,000 city retirees onto a privatized Medicare Advantage plan that, many seniors across the country, retirees outside of the city too, would lose access to doctors, pay higher out-of-pocket costs. I mean, I really like this tragic story of people who, again, are, in their 80s, are sick with cancer. Their one doctor is telling them that can help them, says, I can't help you if you have Medicare Advantage because we're not covered by that. And so we're introducing legislation tomorrow that would require the city provide the traditional Medicare and prohibit any Medicare Advantage plans for New York City retirees. And we're having also a press conference and rally at noon at the City Hall steps. And so really, welcome that everyone to join us because, yeah, this is something that will affect many of us, will affect me, in a few decades. So again, this is our teachers, our public doctors, your sanitation workers, police, firefighters. This is everyone who built the city up for the past 50 years and are now being betrayed by the administration. And then lastly, as Tracy mentioned, we had the City of Yes hearings for the City Council now. As we know, the Councilman Marte has been fighting for affordability and more contextual developments in the City of Yes for housing opportunity text amendment. Yesterday, he was there all day yesterday and today. He questioned the CPC Chair Garodnick and HPD Commissioner Carrion on the unaccounted vacancies purposely held off market by landlords, the need to deepen and expand mandatory inclusionary housing, and the importance of continuing to build affordable apartments for families. He spoke about Lower Manhattan, where thousands of market rate units have been built and rents continue to skyrocket, undermining the city's argument that we can solve the affordability crisis by clearing the way for developers to build even more luxury housing. Today, public testimony was heard beginning at 9:30 a.m. It might still be going now. I know I saw Tammy on TV at our office today. So yeah, thank you and everyone else who testified, who joined. And yeah, with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, before we run down all the questions, let's keep it concise. I'm just saying it's 7:32 and I still have Peter C. and Evelyn to do. So Jill, concise, and then Eric.
If you could just check back in with the council member about Gateway Plaza
Yeah.
and coordinating with Senator Kavanaugh to try to save the 300 families
Yeah.
left.
No, definitely, yeah, I didn't realize a meeting was proposed, so I'll definitely talk about it.
Okay. Eric?
Yeah, hi, Chris. I'm sorry, Max. So what is Chris doing to prevent the opening of 320 Pearl Street beyond just writing letters and meeting with them? Anything concrete that you can tell us? Because the contract inspection is for Friday. And once that happens, the city can sign a contract with this provider anytime.
Yeah, so yeah, we have no updates now. I know, again, we were hoping we were, ready to come to the community board last week when they were supposed to be here. Yeah, and again, position hasn't changed, right? The conversations are still happening, but we have no updates or, kind of announcements we can make.
I know people that are scared. They're contemplating even moving if this opens. Just want to let you know.
We actually I heard from leaders at the school that they actually did have transfers happen over the summer due to the approach.
Yeah.
So this is not just fear for what Eric is saying. This is a real student loss to the student body. Lost families are lost revenues, are lost education dollars that are assigned on a per pupil basis. It's just not a great thing. Alice, and then I have one other thing.
Just a quick follow-up, Max, thanks, and then not like you don't have anything else to do, but when the City of Yes becomes, the City of No, hopefully. I just was curious if you'll have any ability to consider a piece of legislation. I know we talked about years ago about adaptive reuse and the idea that public buildings would first be considered for adaptive reuse if they're being designated for demolition. And I thought it was a great idea. You started to work at it, as I recall, and I was wondering, a few years ago during the jail period. When
No, that's a great question. Yeah, we'll definitely have to get back. The conversation's kind of died out, so we can definitely start that.
That's great, thank you.
And then I'm gonna ask, there is an urgent need. Every week, OCM approves more cannabis places. From opening next door to a new facility. That law has to be passed by city council.
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit on that. Because we had, so the way it works, council, is that, right, we submitted a legislation to prevent that, and we were told that another council member is working on it, but the way it works, like the back end of the council, that's confidential, so we don't know who's doing it, and we can't, it's called first in time, it's a whole thing where, right, only one council member can work on a bill at a time to kind of prevent, like, 3 of the same bill being introduced. So again, yeah, I don't know who's working on it, or again, when that'll be introduced, but we know that it is being worked on by some.
Talk to one another? What's going on?
I don't understand how that could
Possibly be.
confidential. I mean.
No, look,
I mean, we need as a board to have 50 people write to councils, to Speaker Adams.
I mean,
I think we
trust
don't
me,
do
if you want, yeah, no, we are
Sorry.
no friend of the rules of the council around
Sorry.
certain time and how that all works.
So
So,
is there a clock on that?
no, that's, again, I don't want to make this about council rules, but no, first in time is a huge issue, this rule, but for things like this.
Because
it's the way to-
you could theoretically dead an issue altogether.
And that's what happened with our retired, the council members introducing it from the floor, like, and kind of breaking the rules a little bit because people in this are doing that with the
So-
retired youth issue, so it's,
So here's
Yeah.
my request. Would you please, if we sent you our resolution, send it to every single solitary, help us get it to every council person.
Absolutely.
So we can get somebody who replies and says, yeah, I'm working on that.
yeah.
There you go.
We're not in disagreement, it's just the rules of the council that are. Yeah, it's not we're not disagreeing with the policy or anything, it's just the.
So we're gonna send you the letter. I know that, I think we sent it to Speaker Adams. And we're just gonna ask if we can get this forwarded and the community wants to know who's working on it.
Yeah, again, yeah.
If you can't ask, I think
Yeah,
50
we
of us
can,
can.
yeah, we'll figure out the best way to kind of investigate, yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, real quick. I know we spoke about this a while ago, but what's the update with IPN?
Yeah, yeah, I spoke with Connor last month, yeah, they're on the I think, just, yeah, at least we haven't heard anything.
I guess no, that's good.
Yeah. We hope so.
I wouldn't count on that.
But nothing has been publicly announced privately even from the developers,
I will tell you that at the city council hearing this morning, somebody spoke up from IPN and some of the neighbors, using it as an example of failure of adding more housing. And the story of IPN that started out as Mitchell-Lama and then became unstabilized and the people who got forced out and where you are today and what's coming down the pipe as a need for required affordable housing. They spoke eloquently this morning for 2 minutes flat. All right, thanks, Max. I appreciate it.
Yeah, everyone.
Peter, thank you so much. And after Peter is Evelyn online. Peter's in the room?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Peter Say, the community liaison.
Oh, you're here. Sorry, Evelyn. Go ahead.
I'm the community liaison from Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Summer's over. Want to give you some updates on some prosecutions that we've been handling.
Good.
Recently enough, we gained a conviction in sentencing of Victor Jenkins, 50 years to life in state prison for raping at knife point 2 women in the city. Jamal MacGyver followed a stranger in Upper West Side, raping him. He has pleaded guilty to the crimes. For his violent crimes, we've recently indicted 60-year-old for operating a pipe bomb and striking an individual's head with this machete. Joshua Cataro indicted for slashing a 65-year-old man during the Dominican Day Parade. And on top of that, the district attorney is very concerned about gun violence, so we continue to sponsor programs to prevent youth gun violence. All over the summer, we handed out grants to 20 community-based organizations to work with kids, understand the dangers of gun violence. Finally, concerns about elder abuse. You heard, Councilor Marte's office worried about health plans for our aging senior citizens. We have our education team out there, and if you have any your community organizations need us to come down to present and highlight the dangers of elder parent scams. Everybody's heard about them, where elder people are being targeted. And we can help by giving you tips, spotting things out. So, like I said, all summer long, we have our education team that can come out and speak to your groups on this. That's basically my update right now. Any questions?
Hearing and seeing none, thank you very
Thank you.
much for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Evelyn, I apologize, you're in the room because when you're online.
Change my strategy.
I love having your input. So thank you.
Good evening, my name is Evelyn and I represent the New York City Comptroller. cover the borough of Medford. Tonight, I would like to highlight a couple of things that we have been doing lately. One of them is our monthly report, highlights on the creative industries. It's very uplifting coverage of the creative industries. They have been thriving in New York City with an increase of over 20% in employment, with the publishing and streaming industries coming ahead of museums and libraries and art institutions. Another thing that I would like to highlight is today we announced a new set of policies in our efforts to divest the New York City pension funds from upstream reserve owners, fossil fuel industries. Now we are adding mid and downstream industries. So in addition to extraction and exploration, we are adding refineries, pipelines, and petrochemical companies. We are divesting from investments in those industries. The other thing is we are having our Diwali celebration on November 13th. It's going to be in Richmondville in Queens. We just had our Hispanic Heritage Celebration in Uptown at the United Palace. You're welcome to stop by our website and follow up on all the great things that the Comptroller's Office is doing. I've heard concerns about contracting in New York City, so we are doing a lot in that space. We are making sure that the city is in compliance with NWB mandates, and also looking at how to read the system from correction vulnerabilities. So we have put together a lot of reports on, with a guide on very specific how to in order to streamline our contracting process. That's all for me. As always, we are on the floor, and can later send a note with my contact information. If you have questions, please speak to reach out.
Raise my hand. So on the 24th, there's a public hearing for the contract for the RFP for 320 Charles Street with Breaking Ground. And Breaking Ground also happens to be one for funds, and I strongly wonder how and why you would not wait until the investigation's done of the agency before awarding them another several $1 million contract over a long run.
And this just happened in summer?
The 24th is the public hearing for the contract. And the DOI investigation was published recently. And they are one of the top people being, listed for things. So my question for the controller, who would be the ones, with contracting to review this, is to balance the needs for the proper usage of public funds and minding our public dollars, and have whatever DOI is doing as an investigation truly, really critically look at this, because the timing that's come through to the community board has not been great. They didn't come to the community board till June, but apparently they all went to LPC first, and they did all kinds of things, and then surprise, they arrived to try and open up a shelter attached to a school with notification less than a week before the end of school.
Yeah.
So it smells a little funky for us in terms of timing, in terms of notification. The DOI report just came out. Seems there would be a little bit more due diligence and eyeballs looking at that.
I'll just.
wait.
Chat. We can only, check contracts after they arrive in our office, so I will definitely get back to the team and highlight this.
Okay, I appreciate that. Morton, and not about this because.
Only just a procedural. I'm looking at the notice of the hearing. It seems like to attend the hearing, it's all remote. you have to log in on subway work?
This one, yeah.
Okay, and I, just to note, there's a statement on the notice that says the proposed contractor has been selected by competitive sealed proposal method, which is not what we were told when the representative of DHS came before us. They said that the contractor partners with the developer and they come to the city. It's a package, that there's no competitive proposal to this contract. Which is already a contradiction on the
Okay.
notice of the hearing.
Thank you very much. Hearing no other things in the room, seeing no one online, thank you very much for coming. It was nice to have you in person.
Thank you.
Have a snack before you go, because you were so patient and waited to be in the lab. Okay, gotcha. Thank you very much. With that, let's move on. Mariama is not here for the treasurer's report. Lucy, are you doing the treasurer's report today?
Why not?
And she does it too anyway.
They spent $1,245 on telephone, for the telephone lines for the office and cell phones for the year. 109 on general office supplies, 453 on district cabinet meeting food and board meeting food. Cab fare for the staff, $90, $55,889 for the quarter of salaries. 500 to start the bank account, and then the next page is 2,500 for 2 laptops. And we had an intern, which we paid them 1,800. Any questions? Thank you.
Good for you, Lucy.
Thank
Good
you. Lucy, we actually do have a question.
The bank account costs $500? To start, we have to start the bank account.
They put in
A
a balance. It doesn't cost. It's not a cost.
That was a good point.
Got it.
You have to have a minimum amount of money in it.
Well,
Found it expensive.
you gave me 30 seconds of overtime.
Lucy?
Quiet.
I don't think it's a problem, Lucy.
That's true. Zach, take it away. Let's go.
Okay, just some more, hitting that hearing that we spoke about on, 320 Pearl Street. That is Thursday, October 24th at 10 a.m. It is online. As said, it's with the Mayor's Office of Contract Services, and you can click the link there, to get more detail. If you need it, you can also just email me. The Public Design Commission is doing tours of City Hall and tours of their archives. And they're done roughly weekly, and the current exhibit at City Hall is Undesigned, the red line, looking at systemic discrimination in housing. And that's, just want to bring up a constituent issue. A constituent called and said that 23 lights were out on the Hudson River Greenway, causing dangerous conditions for cyclists at night. It's a very busy thoroughfare for cyclists, and had a hard time trying to figure out who operates those lights, but we finally figured it out, and finally got state DOT to respond, and they're going to be looking at it this week, and we'll be following up on that after that to get that resolved. So just wanted to throw in a constituent issue there. And some scheduling changes for November. Want to highlight land use will be on Monday, November 4th. That's the first Monday to accommodate Veterans Day. And then we'll be moving the full board to Monday, the 25th, to accommodate some Thanksgiving travel for everyone. So everyone can enjoy the holiday. And that's it for me.
A nice reminder also that the office is closed on Election Day. So in November, we're closed Election Day.
And Veterans Day.
Thanksgiving, and I'm uncertain, you'll have to stay tuned, but the day after Thanksgiving will at best be a half day. At worst, be everybody remote, so don't go knocking on the door.
Open on November first, the schools are closed on November first, but you guys are open.
We're open. Why is school closed?
Well,
No, we're open. All right, so welcome to the fall season in New York. Next slide. It's been a really busy month with the holidays and such. I had hoped that it would slow down. But on the 25th, I attended a meeting at PS 150 that had electeds, DHS, and a variety of agencies, as well as the local community. It was a great meeting because it was the first time the deputy mayor's office actually showed up, which I thought was really interesting. And turned out to be productive because we did get a conversation going about how you've used siting shelters and there's not enough resources available for the neighboring public assets like schools. So it's another conversation to have. The HRPT board meeting was on September 26th. If you have a chance to watch that video, please do so. The work that they have done on their research departments and in the water, on land, and the success that they're having in the estuarium is just downright impressive. And it was a 45-minute presentation on the variety of research projects and outreach that they have going on and their new partnerships with people like the NCC and others in the CUNY system. It was really fascinating and would make you super proud to have such an amazing park and the work that they do. Downtown Alliance board meeting was September 30th. Biggest thing I learned from that, other than obviously the real estate trends that we're talking about, are the 7 conversions on Water Street.
Unbelievable.
So it's a lot of conversions to residential. There is not one that is 100% confirmed affordable, though. There's a possibility one might be, but so far, I don't see
No,
anything.
2080s or
Not so far, not yet. So
We should have a naming
It's what you
competition
call
to
it.
rename the financial district into some other.
it does bring, it sort of highlighted, I think, for Community Board 1 and from where I sit, for the length of time that I've been on the board, and some of the most controversial things was, looking at the Water Street text amendment, because we were really looking to support the businesses and the real estate owners to improve the public spaces that were there and to have more retail. Fast forward 10 years, and here we are, 7 buildings on Water Street transferring to residential. So I think it raises lots of questions that need to always be asked when we're taking a look holistically at stuff.
Go ahead,
Nope, let me keep going. We had a meeting October.
Why? What is the point of sitting here?
We had a meeting on, we're updating our website. If you want to be involved in the next round of taking a look at the updates for the website, no problem. I hope everybody got a copy of the letter, the public access to the Battery Maritime building, which we don't have. We posted it on the website and we sent a letter basically summarizing all the questions and needs and asks that we've had for 2 years for public access that is still denied. I thank every board member who has sent me a letter, who has tried to pass by, tried to go use a bathroom, tried to have a cup of coffee there, and been told no. Governor's Island Gala, Alice and I were there on October 8th. It was a lovely, lovely event. It was held at the Hall des Lumières down the road, and that's the picture of it. Interesting, I thought it was supposed to be an art gallery, but it's an amazing event venue.
With no liquor license. Time to
Um,
visit
I
that.
spoke to CBS News about City of Yes on the 15th. Participated with the First Precinct Community Council captain interviews for the first. They're down to 2 candidates. I don't have any updates yet. And the 17th was super busy because we had, Zach and I had a follow-up with Port Authority about Bessie Street. And what's the status of bus parking for the World Trade Center site? Because the community had been promised there would be underground bus parking.
Right.
So we wouldn't have buses all around the neighborhood, and working on understanding what the potentials are with that and how it would be helpful for the PAC and the museum. And a follow-up on Bessie Street, the nice thing to know is that conversations are proceeding with DOT, who will be doing a study, which will be amazing to see what changes we can make on Bessie Street that could be temporary, short-term, long-term, and permanent, to make that a far better, instead of a back wall that's full of construction, but really have a bicycle, 2-way bicycle connection from the Greenway up to Church, pedestrians, street furniture, some trees. It was really kind of great. Alice and I were at the CCLM, which is the Finite Seaport Master Plan kind of working group. Yeah. All I can tell you is, please go to environmental protection. I think there's not enough times that I can tell you about the massive changes.
Mhm.
And I gave public testimony based on our resolutions at city council this morning. You can only have 2 minutes, so I took the very top line of what was the most important thing that we said that framed our response to everything. We want affordable housing guaranteed. And then my pictures here this month are this gorgeous building, which was the museum. 31 Chambers is the second one. Brookfield has some fun art. And then my absolute irritation with non-existent traffic enforcement anywhere in the neighborhood. Just from placards to parkers to speeders to bicyclists. I'm telling you, when I get run over in front of 1 Center Street, I want that intersection named after me. Next slide.
30 more years.
For 30 years. Yay, we have ticker tape parade again, and this will be on Thursday. We got as much as we can today. It tips off at 10 o'clock from Battery Park, goes up Broadway to City Hall through the Canyon Heroes. And then they'll have a ceremony in the front of City Hall. Really excited to have something back in the city. It's always fun. Next slide.
We have tickets.
What streets are affected?
Tickets.
We will be sending this out tomorrow. I would not try going around Battery Park, period. I would not try trying to cross Broadway on Thursday.
We getting any tickets?
We have not gotten tickets yet, but if we do, we'll share out whatever we get. If we get. Next slide. How about the presses? Thursday, we already talked about. We did go ahead and notify PS 150 and PSIS 276 because they have buses that need to get to schools in the morning and ensure that NYPD knew that there are public schools there that will need access to get to. Friday noon, I need a City One volunteer who will attend the Seaport Coastal Resiliency Percent for Art program. I kid you not, notice came in for a short term. It is an art program for some of the, much like they're doing on Park Row, an art program that'll go in with resiliency painting. If you have time, it is noon on Friday. I will not be able to go. Please email me directly and we'll see who can go. I didn't want to make an assumption that, hey, and start calling people. If you are available, you're interested, let me know. Talked about that. Chinatown Working Group, we're still waiting. I believe they're coming to, they're coming to transportation in November. I take that back. So they will be at transportation and they're supposed to come back and talk about the traffic study results from Park Row. So everybody should go to that one. And that reminds me, we should reach out to Pace to make sure that they know as well. All right?
Is there gonna be an update on the design of Park Row or something?
Yeah, that's kind of the traffic study and potential designs.
Oh, so that will happen at this.
At transportation. Yeah. All right, and then the Friday Seaport Master Plan again. Can't say it enough. Go to environmental protection in November. Next slide. Manhattan Leadership Training. Friday Seaport. Substantial changes. When I say that, I'm talking about the US Coast Guard site, Pier 15, Pier 19. Everybody says, what's 19? There is no 19. That's exactly my point. You need to go. They're talking about a Pier 19. And they're talking about no more Pier 15. So if you have a potential of 6 new buildings for recreational use or commercial use or industrial. So you need to go to environmental and be prepared to ask questions. So sharing news with us, Eric Flores isn't here tonight because he's being honored. I thought that was super cool. For his pro bono work. So again, I want to share joy. And then the other thing I want to share is it's Richard Corman's birthday.
Happy birthday. Let's approve my birthday song.
We will not sing because
I got a birthday song.
the best gift we can give you is to move it along. So with that, I'm going to close my chair report. I'm going to say happy Halloween. Send me pictures. Enjoy. Yes, those are from my house. And yes, we do carve our own pumpkins. So send me. So send your Halloween costumes, send your pumpkin stuff, enjoy. We spend a lot of time talking about really serious issues that affect the community. We should share the joys. So Richard, happy birthday, and with that, I end my report.
Thank you. You all.
All right, so moving on. So if you are not with us for the resolution, for the voting to approve the minutes, you will need to have an oral vote at this point, okay? You know who you are, please don't make me chase you, make sure your cameras are all online. We're gonna take, 108, 119 South Street and 253 Broadway together. And then I think we can do Smith Tavern as well together because we had a long conversation on it, unless anybody objects to that.
Yeah, and the resolution's very clear and it explains it all. There's, that
First
we
of all,
worked,
thanks to you all, that was.
well, we worked very hard on it and we looked at it.
Sure.
So for the clear path, what's the rule? I wasn't.
It's there.
Yeah, I was supposed to clear.
The most annoying thing.
Yeah, I could tell.
Ever. The clear path does not include the subway breaks.
When you say it doesn't include, like it doesn't count for it, or?
It's immaterial.
It doesn't matter that
They
they're there.
expect-
They
expect-
If the clear
like me.
path was the entire grade,
I
that's
have
what
to
it would
walk
be.
on it. No.
What if you have high heels?
So, I mean,
It's included.
hope that maybe transportation takes up as a discussion.
Yeah.
That really looks at what is included and what the DOT says is for clear path and maybe proposals and rule change. Because I gotta say, I don't think, and based on when you look at this particular location, the biggest arguments that we've had where you're coming out of the subway. So there's already a traffic, issue with subway entrance. and exit.
It's crazy.
Entrance and egress
Because
to both
it
the restaurants.
splits West Broadway,
And then-
Church.
The fire hydrant and the subway stuff and navigating it was a really interesting conversation. And when you looked at the original diagrams that we got, that,
Yeah, I wanted to.
I want to say, thanks to Alice and getting all this stuff out. I mean, we got a diagram that was totally unacceptable. And we knew that, but we didn't have all the parameters. Nobody had given it to us. And it makes a huge difference. It's a lot of work. And it's a lot of thinking that you have to work out. And, I'm always, there's a lot of detail and anybody will skirt if they can.
Yeah, I thank you very much. And the main point that I wanted to raise when I brought it to your attention at the committee was that the thing that everybody should do is when you look at these licensings, particularly when you're having takeover of public space, whatever way it is, you really, as the neighbor, are going to know better than anyone. Like, I knew that subway groups, I knew that the subway was there, and I knew about the hydrant, the way that the width of that was correct, and Zach pointed that out. So you gotta get in there. And so I think one of the things that we should do, which we talked about with Tammy, is really push DOT to enforce that these plans are correctly drawn. I mean, I don't know, but otherwise it's up to us to find those mistakes. And so you really only know by going and looking.
Yeah, give her
And
that,
that's it.
that's.
But at the end of the day, submitted near the subway exits and have narrow.
To make the agreement.
That was.
Yeah, we worked very hard on it. And the committee, just so you know, brought it to the executive committee to give the guy a chance to come back and have a shot. And because it was unacceptable when it came to licensing as it initially came.
which my hope is that, as for our board, I'm gonna bring it up, but I also think it's in line with what we have said before. I understand DOT not requiring professional stamp drawings and trying to be more economically open to restaurants that don't have funding for professionals. But they're submitting a drawing to a professional agency. The DOT is an agency that hires professionals and has access to all the city.
That's what we got.
So why isn't the DOT then forwarding a more updated and accurate thing for the community board?
Yeah.
And that I think is something that we can all, agree with.
Well, it's a question.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Fantastic, so.
Uh-oh.
My hand was up to speak about Green Club.
Betty, go ahead. Shoot, go.
My comment about Green Club was really what was spoken about before it was voted on at executive is in the therefore be it resolved. And it says at the very end, the second part, it says no smoking will be permitted on the balcony. It was the unenclosed balcony. Then changes to the balcony need to go through.
Yes, that's correct.
Correct.
That's
That is
But it
correct.
wasn't just on the balcony, it was because it was unenclosed, but if they get it changed, this would change as well.
Correct, so we will add the word unenclosed. Thank you for catching that. All right, anything else? Okay, great, so.
That's great.
Again, when we do quorum is based on the people in the room plus anybody who's approved for qualified disability. We have quorum right now. Nobody gets to leave. With that said, if you're here, if you are online due to emergency needs, that doesn't qualify towards quorum. That qualifies once we've achieved quorum. So we have achieved quorum. Let's roll from here. Okay? So for those who were not online prior, when we did the first vote, Mimi's gonna call your name out. We're gonna ask for your vote first. I'm gonna assume everybody is a yes. And then Mimi's gonna roll call for the ones who were not here first. And then, and at that point, there'll be abstentions, recusals, and no's. All right?
Susan.
Because I think that's gonna be.
If I know everybody. I only know of 2 people.
Okay.
That showed up. There's a lot of people that want it.
Okay, go.
Oh, Lerner?
He was there.
Lauren, what's your vote?
I tried.
There's let's take the vote and then I'll.
Joe needs to vote.
Do we need to second or call?
I call second.
Second.
Anyway, Jill.
Lerner.
Lerner, yes.
Thank you. And,
Capel.
Joel.
Yes.
Thank you. That I know of. Anything else? Oh, for sure.
Joyce?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, she was here.
And
Andrew.
Zelter, yes.
Oh, he's here.
Zelter, yes. Thank you very much, Andrew. Okay.
And Laura Stars on.
Laura was on earlier.
Okay.
All right, are there any no's? Any recusals? Are there any abstentions? Eric,
On number 1.
you're abstaining on 108, 119 South. Yes. Okay, Susan,
I just want everybody to know.
are you abstaining? We're still in the vote.
No, I'm sorry, after the vote.
Okay, motion's passed. Susan,
Yes, DOT will not accept a resolution. They will only accept this, community dining out, community, form. So we have filled it out. Thank you, Onesh, for reminding me to do this. I want you all to be aware of it because this is all, our resolution is for us and we have it on record. But this is what must be.
And you see our choices for responses, waive, approval, denial. That's it. No, and, and some description with approval with modifications, which they can ignore. And if we don't send anything in, they get exactly what they want.
It's the same as with liquor license.
Yeah.
It's all on paper because they don't have the portal up yet for us to use.
Thank you.
Read through it and type it in.
exactly.
Yes.
Very effective. So let's do the budget. Understand that the budget is, no, the only changes we're going for is if there is something missing. And environmental protection has missing stuff because their committee was after exec. If there's anything missing, or there's something that needs to be kind of amended, this was all voted on in exec. We don't need to go one by one. Okay? So, hands up if anybody has for environmental. Wendy?
No, it's not environmental. Isn't, what are we talking about?
Amendments to the budget.
The executive committee, all of them? I'm not understanding what we're doing, sorry.
So we voted,
All of them now.
we voted everything already on the budget, except for anything that was newly added and changed or removed from environmental protection. So what we do tonight is to remove environmental protection, just has to say, remove this, add this, add this, add this, so it's on the public record. And then it goes as amendments, and then we vote on the whole thing.
That's what I just.
That's-
that from the meeting? Is that what you're saying? So that what we discussed?
Last night.
So what we discussed last night will be put in there. So I was gonna raise my hand saying I didn't see information about lead, but we talked about it last night, so it will be in there. So I will.
It has to be amended, so. You have
Right.
a motion to amend, so I was gonna have Alice go through all of the stuff from environmental from last night to make the motions to amend, and then we vote and roll. But I'm definitely not going line by line.
I'm really sorry, I forgot my notes at home, but I'm able to resurrect them in my head, so anyway. And please help me out if I'm missing something. So I don't know, I'm doing here, 5C should read, funding to construct long-term comprehensive resiliency infrastructure. These are minor changes in Tribeca, north of North Moore Street. 7C was removed. C meaning capital expense. And then 10E, not to design the plan, which is now in schematic design phase, but to introduce green infrastructure such as bioswales, rain gardens, and resilient surfacing at Barnett Newman and Tribeca. That stays the same. 13E is an expense. Take out the first sentence, provide or expand green infrastructure. Obviously, we've just covered that. But this reads CB1, is this correct? Richard and Wendy and everybody who was there. CB1 would like to see budget increases for investment in new technologies required to advance sewage treatment plants and wastewater management. As I recall, that was what we settled upon last night. We removed 14E. We have 16E, just capital West Side resiliency.
Hold on, you removed, do me a favor.
14E.
Type it, type in priority number.
The type is E, expense, priority number was 14. Priority 14.
Oh, that's
E,
not priority,
expense.
that's not the priority.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, that's what it.
That's what it is on the printed.
Yeah, yeah, that's,
It's up, what is that? On what I've got.
that's just a number
All
for
right.
us to follow.
Oh,
So if
okay.
I remember correctly, okay, I've got environmental up as well. So we removed
This is one that's started with noise.
the noise camera.
Yep.
It was removed, the budget increases for investment in new technologies for water treatment and wastewater. Short-term medium flood resiliency
Okay,
infrastructure.
wait a minute, now you're doing something different.
You know,
You
they
want,
were all, those are the three removals that I have from you from last night.
okay, and then now we're up to number 13 that started. Could you just go to no, it's 13E, it's an expense item, so it would be further along maybe.
What is, can you tell me what it says?
It should be CB1 would like to see budget, well, it shouldn't be would like to see CB1, funding for investment in, it should read.
The new technologies?
Yes,
The new technology was removed.
Yeah, that's what we removed.
That one was removed.
oh, well, we didn't remove it last night, but.
Well, we had a long discussion that the wording in it didn't really make any sense.
Right, we took out the first sentence, which was
But
about.
also the rest of it.
So we decided to take the whole thing out.
Oh, sorry, good, thank you, this is why, we have a committee, okay, gone. Excellent, okay, we got that out, then 14E, we already just took care of that, right?
Yep.
The noise camera, you got that
Yep.
out? Okay, I think we're getting close, 24E and 25E were,
Read the,
wait, sorry, not, this one is not us.
no,
Sorry.
that's
This.
EDC. Funding for trees and
Yeah,
planting.
because it's the same thing about.
That was already done in exec.
Okay, great. And,
And then the ones that you added had to do with lead paint.
there was one, didn't have to send you the word, yes, it was in support of funding for support of the legislation, but it wasn't the legislation, it was
Enforcement of the. existing-
enforcement. Thank
In
you.
government-owned buildings, correct?
Yes.
That's right, thank you, Jeff. We thought it was might be DOP, DOB, and DEP. You weren't sure which agency. Was there anything else that you guys, any of the committee members remembered that I missed? If not, I'm done.
Anybody have anything else while they're thinking about it? We have one for waterfront parks. Andrew?
Tammy, can you hear me?
Yep.
So I don't have the language in front of me, but at committee, we discussed adding a budget item for Barnett Newman sort of redevelopment or reimagining as a community green asset and resiliency.
That one's there.
It is there? Okay, I didn't see it earlier. If it's there, then we're good.
Yeah, well, it should have been under parks, so two different budget items. One is asking for green infrastructure at this triangle, and the other was asking for,
Make sure to.
expansion of the actual triangle from DOT, as I recall, actually.
We
It
can-
wasn't parks.
We can make sure that, it hits all of them.
It's 10E.
And then the question that I was asking Andrew is, we did get an email in this week about a budget request for additional funding to fix the playscape at the Battery, which has non-functioning technology, graffiti and tears in the surface of the play area.
Really?
That opened like last year.
The new
The brand new one.
It's just the blue, it's the blue bowl has some tears in it.
Yep, it was the blue bowl, the water feature, the metal stage, and the graffiti. So there'd be an amendment to add that.
It's also, I don't see other ones that were in, like, do we have the one about all the water amenities being?
It's missing here, it's bouncing.
Yeah, I don't see it there. Yeah, you're a guy there of Delory, it's not there. And elect, and also
So
I see
that's
city.
Hold on, so it is about repairing the water features in the parks, including not limited to Collect Pond,
The lorries.
the Lori.
Square, Alberto Capsudo. And I noticed here under landmarks and preservation, the city hall park fountain repair, is that the water not working, or there actually is probably something wrong with the architecture of the fountain? The water?
I mean, the stone is in terrible condition around the fountain, so we could do that.
Whatever is the problem, I just don't know if it was water, then we would put it.
We will,
Well, I don't wanna, paint it with a water brush. You know what I mean?
we can add City Hall Park fountains.
Leave it where it is. City hall park fountain repair.
And that's right, and environmental about the Driscoll Walk. But the Driscoll Walk cannot be, it can't be repaired yet because it's part of the resiliency project. So it's slated to be part of that. So we did not put that in because that's part of the Seaport Coastal Resiliency Project.
Well, the way it was raised was in the meantime, because that project.
Could be 100 years.
And I
from now.
think what.
No, that one's
this was
starting,
raised
that one's
by
funded.
Gary Fagan, and
Yeah.
what, I think it's really an expense item for park maintenance.
It's good point.
I mean, park perhaps have enough money to do it, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it. And that's-
So are we, so is that the conversation to add it?
I think so. Yeah, that was.
I think.
And I know he talked about rat mitigation.
So there was another one we had also that doesn't, under environmental protection was the, funding for, I guess you could say the improvement of, the Holland Park Rotary Park. Is that right, Jared? Is that how you'd say, it's a Holland Park, Holland Rotary? So we were looking for funding for the improvement of that, right, that was in, no, I mean, I'm trying to remember, that was in the environmental protection of parks.
Parks.
Okay.
And I think it's in there.
I have something that says the beautification of Holland Tunnel Park, is that what we're talking about?
That's it,
Okay.
yeah.
What number?
All right. It should be called the Holland Tunnel Rotary.
Park.
Okay. Richard,
We capture, I think we talked about environmental, expense item for enforcement.
Yes.
From the city, lead payments, whatever.
Yeah.
that is-
We just picked that up, yeah.
They just did
that. Yeah, we did. Yeah, that's okay.
and we said but we talked about that in city-owned buildings, that we were funding.
No. Of enforcement of all of the city law. What they claimed was that the law was on the books was wrong, that they wanted to be It's something else, more private than public.
Being prepared today.
That's one of the things that we need for this, and we did talk about funding for testing of some of these things. But I gather that the city-owned buildings is not as much of a problem, or at least a housing.
I thought it was testing and remediation in city-owned buildings and then funding for enforcement in private.
That's correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you both for that. And are there any others? Hearing none.
Okay.
Second.
Fantastic. Let's do this as a vote from affirmation. Are there any noes? Are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Motion passes unanimously. Let's rock and roll. First committee, Tricia, take us away.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we had a presentation by Lauren Newman, and a gentleman whose name just escaped me. They came, they had proposed a $5 city bike, subscription for students, which was a great idea. It was really well received. After the presentation, a lot of the members of the committee pointed out that there were some things that could be better developed in terms of the proposal. There were safety concerns. Would there be helmets? What were their thoughts about that? How would this be facilitated in terms of how they would, sign in, get on the bike? Would it deplete bikes from stations? There was, some work that they needed to do that they agreed they needed to do. So they're going to come back and see us after they do that work in the spring. But we let them know we're fully in support. Nick Sorbonne came to talk about the upcoming renovation and turf replacement at the Battery Park ball fields. At the time of the meeting, they had an RFP out. They expect to award imminently. The work is to begin as soon as it's awarded and scheduled. And their hopes are that they're going to complete this work before Little League season. It's a big lift, but they felt quite confident. They went over what they're going to do. And it's needed. It's been, many, many years and it's time. So really just let us know what was going on there. And we're hoping for the best. Everyone at Little League is, knows what's happening and they will put into place a plan B if for some reason they don't make it, but they feel confident that they will. The other thing was we just discussed the safe haven shelters. Morton and I had been to the QOL meeting where the guests were there from Breaking Ground. We let the committee know what the discussion was about and the fact that they were also going to come back to the quality of life meeting. We discussed it would probably be best to do a joint resolution if a resolution was going to be done. And it's something we can discuss at a later time, but we didn't feel it was appropriate to do at that meeting. What else? Bob was unable to make it, so we are going to have an update at the next meeting on 234's construction. And then we just put together our capital budget items, which everybody has, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Do we have any other slides? This is the ball fields one that Tricia was talking about. So for people who aren't necessarily paying attention, this is the Battery Park City ball fields. It will be closed, as she said, and repaired.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I ask a question on this?
Yes.
The article just came out in the local paper about this, refers that they're removing 5 trees. Part of this, did that come up?
That did not come up. It's right up there. On the right, the third bullet on the right.
Trees for safety and reducing much.
Way of safety, okay. Yeah, that did not come up. That's a good point. We did not discuss that.
That seems crummy.
Mm.
Yeah, it seems problematic and strange that they didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Andrew, do you have any info on that? Is Andrew available? Maybe he can tell us.
Is he here? Is he online?
So I'm available.
Okay.
Okay, Tom. Andrew, what did they say about the trees?
So they had, I don't know if it was in the meeting with us or, sorry.
Right on South Sixth Street.
Hold on.
You know what?
They referenced it in the past. I don't recall if it came up in our meeting or not. I think some of it had to do with how they are sort of redesigning the underlying foundation of the turf, that it would move into some of the historic areas. That's all I know.
You know what? Andrew, Becky is on, from the Battery Park, City Authority. So let's see if she could speak to this. Becky?
Hi, I am actually checking in on this right now. I'm not aware about tree removal, but I will get back as soon as I can.
Jeff?
I mean, my knowledge is old of this, but I chaired the ball fields task force for many years, and at least historically, the leagues objected to many of those trees being put in the first place because they take away athletic play space. And so, and as they grow bigger, they take away more as well as having safety issues. So I don't know what the leagues may feel today, but historically they've objected to those trees.
Justine, do you have anything to add to that from the committee meeting?
Yeah, for some reason, so not from our committee, because they didn't talk about it in our committee, but I was at Trish's. I knew about the trees being removed, so I only could have learned it from your listening in the meeting. So I do recall them talking about it and Nick saying that it had to be done because part of what they're doing is who said that? Either Becky or Andrews just said it, that in the scheme of redoing underground, they have to take it out and put in the new turf. And part of what they're also doing is the fixing the padding on the benches too, which is a separate but concomitant project, which anybody who's been to the ball fields knows that the padding sucks. But I remember them talking about it. So that's what's
interesting, because I don't remember him talking about it, but I do remember him talking about having to dig some things up and redo the pavers. So maybe I just missed it.
No, I know. So that's weird. Because
Becky, let's do it this way. Becky, from the BPCA, would you mind, when you come to the Battery Park City Committee meeting, which is in 2 weeks, having a robust dialogue with a diagram so people understand where the trees are, why they're coming out, they provide some kind of shade, and will there be any kind of replacement for shade opportunities?
Sure, we can definitely come with more details, and I did just get confirmation that we are removing the 5, but we'll definitely, when we have that committee, you know, we can definitely go into more detail on that.
Jared?
This is a little backwards, but reading this article that quotes from the meeting, it says that they're removing the bioswale, which is the
right,
and they're removing 5 trees. The bioswale that will be removed for maintenance considerations.
Yep.
And the trees are being removed for the sake of player safety, which have been there safely for a decade.
Yeah.
As I told the leagues have historically objected to them for safety.
But they have fencing there, temporary fencing there.
All right. All right, yeah, we'd like clarity at the Battery Park City meeting. It's, you know how we feel about trees being removed. I'm curious about the bioswale, considering we did resiliency work at the ball fields, which was supposed to save us money from the overall Battery Park City project in the Northwest. And if you're now removing the bioswale, how does that relate back to resiliency? So when you come to the Battery Park City Committee meeting, can you please bring all of that information with you, Becky?
Can I ask one other thing? Can we get, in the event that they are actually being removed, a commitment for 5 new trees elsewhere?
Can we get a commitment for 5 new trees somewhere else that are not necessarily on the fields, but a place that could provide shade? At the committee.
I think we'll definitely, have more detail and everything. I can't make promises right now about what, we'll be putting where, I can't speak for that and also need to talk to Parks about where, we can put in trees to make sure that they're also healthy. But, I think that this is definitely something we can have as an ongoing dialogue for sure.
For the good.
I'm gonna put in.
Since it's really important, Becky, let's just have this discussion in committee. It seems like it was kind of glossed over, and you know how the community feels about trees and shade and green space and bioswales. Yeah, so we'll see you in November.
Oh.
All right, let's
That's good.
move on. Thanks. Andrew, you're up for waterfront and parks, unless you like, Alice to present about that resolution.
And I know, and then you had the guy.
Yeah.
So,
Andrew?
yeah, I'm here. Just before we jump to waterfront and parks, as it relates to the trees, I can tell you downtown Little League did not make a specific request to remove trees. I will also share that as it relates to use of the fields for baseball and softball, those trees throwing shade is not a consideration. They don't offer any shading for the activities that's occurring there while baseball and football are happening. And to the comment with respect to there being a fence, kids get behind those fences, and there have been attempts to climb those trees. And with soccer, I don't believe they have fences. So I'm sharing a personal opinion. I do think there are some safety aspects of that. But again, Downtown Little League did not request to remove any trees.
Could you just clarify, are you just supporting that they should be removed? I was a little unclear on that.
Sorry, is that a question for me?
Yes, it is. From your perspective, because you use the fields, you know the recreation that goes on there better than many of us.
The trees don't offer any value in terms of my experience using the fields, providing shading. They just, that's not a purpose that they serve. We have had issues with kids getting back behind our fence and interacting with those trees. And I think it is a safety issue. So the potential concern of wanting to take it out for those reasons.
Andrew, we'll do it in committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barnett Newman?
Okay, so at our Waterfront and Parks Committee, we had essentially two agenda items. The first was the budget. We worked through some items we didn't undertake to prioritize, but so we worked through that. And then the second item was related to the Barnett Newman Triangle resolution. And just to remind everyone, that Newman Triangle is the area where Church Street, 6th Avenue, and White Street converge. And I think we do have some slides showing both an aerial view of the space as well as one from the south. Triangle. I think as many people are aware, we have a long history of seeking to develop this square into both a green community asset and most recently a component to resiliency planning in this area of Lower Manhattan. A lot of history, a lot of moving parts. Important to note that this is an area that was part of a concession to a developer that was granted in connection with an adjacent development project in exchange for that developer being a partner with the city to develop the square into a usable, functional community asset. Surprisingly, that has not materialized, and repeated efforts over an extensive period of time to enforce that agreement have not been productive. And other folks came to provide an update on efforts to form a Friends of Barnett Newman. And these Friends associations are a strategy that we've seen to be successful with other development and maintenance strategies of local spaces in our community. Alice, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Friends of Barnett Newman secured its 501c status in March of this year.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
And at the meeting, they presented what I would refer to as a conceptual framework of how the space can be developed and reimagined, again, both as a green community space as well as enhanced resiliency. And I think we have a slide which provides what I would refer to as a high conceptual plan for the space. And anticipating questions people might have about the space, I would just make two comments. One, this is not a final design plan by any stretch. It was just meant to show potential design and uses of the space. And we also have some more detailed slides that perhaps the office can make available if people are interested.
He doesn't have them.
We do have a resolution. I'm sorry, was someone trying to break in?
I said, good job. I think we're good.
So we do have a resolution, and I think the one that was presented in the pack is not the most current. I believe an updated version either has been circulated or we can put it up on the screen. But it essentially calls for a series of steps to help us create tangible action on developing this space into a usable community asset. And again, resiliency for this part of Lower Manhattan. It was a pretty straightforward conversation. The vote was relatively unanimous. I think we had 9 in favor and 1 abstention. So if we have a call to question, the vote on the motion.
I'll call the question.
So the question's been called and seconded. We'll do a vote by affirmation. Are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Any recusals?
Oh, I have to recuse.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Glad you caught that, Alex.
I want to recognize Eddie Kay is with us online, but Jesse Green was going to take it away.
Okay, transportation, we have 3 resolutions on congestion pricing, just kidding. This is, this is an interesting request that came to us from, CB2 to create a continuous bus route, along West Street. Okay, came from Tammy, okay. But CB2 did a resolution on it. We did a resolution supporting their effort, obviously, that's so many amenities on my street from Clear Park to schools, to Pier 40, to the ball field we were talking about. So we just did a resolution supporting that effort. The only difference is that Community Board 2's resolution supported it from 14th Street, and I think they said preferably down to Chambers. We discussed extending it to the World Trade Center and the Battery. So.
I'm gonna go first, Jeff. My whole point for this was if you go up the West Side Highway, try and get to Pier 40 or up to Gansevoort, the majority of the bus stops that you see along West Street are four buses. And the reason why we have so many tour buses down in the Battery is the only way the ticket hawkers can get the people from Battery Park is they bus them up the West Side Highway to the piers on the Upper West Side in Hudson River Park. And so it sort of has an epiphany when you sit there and say, well, wait a minute, if we just had mass transit, then we wouldn't need the extra bus routes for the tour bus. And actually, people from Community Board 1 could easily get north if you're not going to be riding a bus.
Like, can I offer?
But it should go down the Battery then.
Yeah, it does say that.
Yeah.
It does.
Yes, it does.
All right, I'm gonna go, I saw 3 hands up. Jeff was first, then Jared, then Mimi. And
Bill
I'm gonna-
just clarified my question. I thought we were asking only who had been Chambers, but we're asking all the way down. That's right.
I don't know if it's worth adding, but just as a practical note, so you can take the M20 bus up Hudson Street, 8th Avenue, all the way up.
That's 8.
Yeah.
I challenge you.
Bill, that's the longest block in the city.
It's a toughie for some of us old folks.
Wait, can I?
Right.
You cannot get downtown. So there's nothing down, to your point, there's no route down Washington.
Correct.
There's nothing down the west side. The only downtown route is 7th Avenue, which is far.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So. Yes,
But yeah.
I support it.
Are we working with any community boards to get it to go further north?
Community board, well, it started with the Hudson River Park Trust. And then went to Community Board 2 and Community Board 1. Because north of Community Board 2, you could transfer to buses in Community Board 4 that go north. There's just nothing south of 14th Street there, the transfer.
Because they usually all,
But there
they
are,
usually make and
You get
go to
some
the village.
bus service, maybe they'll be smart enough to.
They usually
give
go
us a
to the village
couple
and
of
they leave the left, they come down.
Anybody, question called.
Second.
Awesome. Vote by affirmation. Are there any abstentions? Hearing none. Any opposition? Seeing none. Any recusals? Motion passes unanimously. Okay.
Borough-based jail. So we had a report, they are on schedule, but the main issue, and you all have heard this, is about the public monitor that was supposed to have been hired a long time ago. So Laura Dodge, who worked on 250 Water Street, has been hired. The I's have to be dotted, the T's have to be crossed, and we're supposed to be told, our understanding was like in a couple of weeks, we were going to get the word that she was on board. At which point I had asked, because we had Vera call in, we had some other community people complain about noise and dirt. And so when Laura came on board, we wanted to have a walking tour around the site. Although, she's coming in at the 11th hour, but we might as well have her take a look and see what, going forward to the end of the project, what can be done to improve the site and the experience of the community. That's basically it for us. Next month, we'll have 320, we hope 320 Pearl Street return with answers to questions that we asked last month, and to see if indeed we can stop the project from going forward. All right, that's it.
All right, this committee. Alice, you're up.
I'm up. Oh, I thought I already did that. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I gotta get my notes. Okay, environmental protection. We started with a report on lead paint, that bill that we've mentioned now a couple of times, the Lead Paint Right to Know Act, and Shannon Burkett and her son, Cooper, came, and it was really a very poignant and beautiful presentation by a mother-son, who the son, having been highly impaired from having ingested lead as a young boy here in Tribeca, right? As a baby, sorry, through the mother, unbeknownst to the parents, that there was lead paint in the apartment they purchased. And he became terribly ill and suffers today with tremendous impacts. And as a result of it, he's turned into sort of a spokesperson, he and his mother, and he gave a wonderful video that he had made, a documentary, which you can see online in our files, wherever they are. It's a very short 9 minutes, and it was really powerful. So anyway, needless to say, we support this act, and that is really the resolution that's in front of you. The act basically requires that that residential property owners all have to make sure that there is no lead paint, and that they make it clear to any buyer or tenant that that is the case, and then they provide all of that documentation to the correct agencies to memorialize that. So that's it in a nutshell. I don't know if we have any questions. I also defer to Wendy, who brought this to the board's attention. I really appreciate it, and introduced Wendy and Cooper and Shannon. So any questions on that? Otherwise, we can.
Eric?
Yeah, I was reading it. I thought it states that it's not to abate the lead, it's only to make it known.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry if I misspoke. Yeah, that's correct.
All right, and then I don't feel this is necessary. There's already a right to know when these transactions occur. If it's important to the purchaser, then they can pursue it and say, I like this, or I want to have a test, I want to have it tested. I think this creates another unfunded mandate. I mean, if they're gonna make this law, then they should take the funding, they should give property owners a deduction from the taxes that they have to pay for, mortgage recording taxes and all these other.
Tax credit.
Okay, thank you. I didn't read it all carefully.
So asked, answered, and aren't you happy with that?
I just say that.
Money, so
Yes,
Chinese.
that's For remediation.
I can say that
requires
versus I can say.
testing and notice.
Right.
Which current law does not require. The current law only requires the seller to say whether or not they know there's any, but there, that doesn't require the test, and the testing is not expensive, it's a couple hundred bucks.
Any other questions?
No, well, my question was, how does the current law differ from this? And
That's
that
basically
answered it, thank you.
I love working in a community. So it sounds like everybody's.
Call the question.
Second.
Fantastic. We'll go by vote for affirmation. All right, so are there any no's? Are there,
Wait. No,
you as a no. Gotcha. Are there any abstentions?
I don't know.
Oh, jeez. Sorry. Are there any recusals? I don't think we have, and then motion passes with one. I think we have slides for the next one.
Yeah,
For us.
quickly.
There we go.
So we had an update on the Seaport Coastal Resilience, so you remember this is the small, orange section that are the interim plans or the short-term plans against the larger Fidei Seaport. We had an update, which many of us thought wasn't maybe enough of an update. But anyway, next slide. So this shows you that the two sections, basically, the near term, which is the orange, is what we're talking about, using Seaport Coastal, and the green starts to indicate the long-term Fidei and Seaport climate resilience. And the difference, fundamental difference is, one, the Seaport is actually funded at the tune of about $250,000, $250,000, and is looking to address sea level rise up to a level of about 11 feet, whereas the Seaport Fidei plans are looking to address storm surge and will be addressing levels of 24 to 26 feet. That's not going to target from have, but okay, some of the purpose and need and the goals and objectives, which I think we reviewed ad infinitum, so I don't think we need to know that we need things like to address flooding. This is the inland and the outborder, what they call the waterfront and inland areas. Instead of reaches, they've renamed these, and this was very thoughtful because it's much clearer. So there's basically these two project zones which you can follow, and you'll notice that the New Market Pier is included.
Lost you for a minute there.
Justine, we're here.
So I was just saying that can you hear that the New Market Pier is included as part of the expense of this phase of the Seaport Resilience, the structure of it. So that structure will be included as part of this. And keep in mind, this is the only thing that we have that's been paid for. So it's really, really important that everyone pays attention, because this one actually will get built. The Seaport Resilience Plan, the large scale, we all may or may not be here for that portion of the equation, but this one we probably will. So if you could show up and have input, it would be handy, because it's probably going to happen.
And it does.
Mostly because they have the money. Go ahead. Next. Okay, so these are called the flood alignment update. Now, if anyone can read this plan, I give the board. It's extremely a little bit less than user-friendly, and we have asked for them to come back and provide a three-dimensional actual plan of what this will look like. This is not it. So the little circles are the areas where they're called tie-ins, which is basically the high ground where the system, the flood barrier system, which is essentially the walls, the deployable gates, the floodgates, the open gates, right? That's going to tie in somewhere. Those are the little circles. The little rectangles are called the deployables. And these were different areas where they thought they could go and consider. And so one of the alignment questions that was very important to a lot of people was to make sure that the Imagination Playground was included in the alignment. So basically what you're looking at is there's nothing more to see here, unfortunately, except for these lines on a page with these little areas where the gates would be. This shows you the height of the intervention. So these gates and flood walls will be between 2 and 6 feet high. It's not very, very high, but they're still consequential.
I could go right through 250 Water Street.
Well,
right down the middle.
Right, whatever thought. And next slide. not sure these, so here is the placemaking design toolkit that they call it. So with every flood barrier wall comes this idea of placemaking. Can you make it into, raised esplanade, seating, benches? And these are things that are done all over the world, and they're great ideas. We have no idea where these are going to land on that plan, what it's going to look like. And we're very hopeful that at the next presentation, which will be coming in December, this may very well show up on the plan so we can better see how this is integrated into the urban scape. Next slide. And here they are. So you have passive systems, of which I think there'll be very few, or not so.
They're focused on passive.
Well, they're focused, except that most of the work that you see are going to be the deployables, the flip-up gates, the roller gates, and the swing gates, which are pretty consequential, infrastructural, impactful pieces of architecture, if you will. So yes, there'll be both. You're right, but these are the ones that you'll probably be most aware of as you walk the neighborhood. And where they go and how they operate are questions really need answered. So the next opportunity, and that was it. What you just saw, there were many more slides, but that's what sort of the crux of what we saw. And there were many questions, and many thoughts about what should happen the next time. And hopefully we basically have a more, comprehensive presentation. But in any case, they're moving in the right direction. And the next opportunity to see this in sort of a kind of broad brush way will be at the Lower Manhattan Coast Resiliency Plan update, which Tammy is right to say you should come to at the Environmental Protection Committee in November. And then in December, they're going to have a community meeting, which are terrific meetings. They really do a great job. And I would really go to one of these. It's a great one-stop shop. You see the whole plan. You get to talk to all the people that are involved in making the plan. And that's probably going to happen in December. And I think that's it.
Any question?
Yeah.
So just for a summary, this is the short-term plan. This is funded. This will happen. The FIDI Seaport Master Plan, which is piers, the Coast Guard site through all the way to the Brooklyn Bridge, is a master plan that this will dovetail into. But that one is an $8 billion plan that's only partially funded. That's great.
Just the research.
Next committee. Thank you very much, Alice.
Dasha.
Jason.
Yes. How are you? I don't think we have much to talk about. Do we even have a slide? Maybe? Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So after we talk about these guys, we got one of these guys. And then I learned that these guys are already all over these guys
All right, so
are all over.
the titles.
4G poles are all over already. In historic districts, on historic ones, so I don't know how that happened. And then now they want to put these on one on William and Beekman. And, this is all they sent us. It's not really, doesn't seem like a great presentations, and we wanted to get more information about the program before we approved it. I'm not even sure why are we writing this resolution? Where does it go?
So we are a consulting party, so we get first twang, and every time it goes to a historic district, it goes to SHPO for approval.
But
And-
this one's not really in a historic district.
Yeah.
Because William and Beekman.
It's an awful corner. They can't keep a light pole up there for 6 months because of
That's
the
the one
way
that turns into
the trucks.
the garage and everything, no?
Yeah, and the school and the buses and
So-
the.
Well, I mean,
We have a 45-day review on it.
right, so
Okay, well, I wrote some nasty things in the resolution, and, if you agree, then, go for it. If not, then.
Oh, seriously, these are so much better than the 30-foot ones.
Yeah, they're better, but do we
But
know what they're
still.
for? Do we know,
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
Sort of
do we need them?
I mean, just to make it clear, and I wrote you a little bit, but
Yeah.
just to say, and we've talked a lot about 5G. We actually, in the last two resolutions we wrote on this topic, where we were very much opposed to the large pole type that you see in the second, the Link 5G. We've advocated for, and I think rightly so, and we talked about this, the integration of existing street infrastructure, poles, light poles and the like, which you're seeing. And so the city has been doing this for many, many years with different companies, where they put on top, like the little arrow is going, the 5G cone there. And that struck us as a better solution than the addition of the new 5G tower. So in opposing this particular, and there have been hundreds of these that have come up over there, but you just have to look up, you'll see one probably within a block of wherever you may live. So in opposing this particular one, I would just say that you should oppose it with an understanding that this is going in front of the State Historic Preservation Office, saying that it blocks the views, that it, whatever you think it was doing, but to still recognize that we as a board acknowledged that the use of the existing infrastructure is preferred to the addition of that. And I wrote you a couple of.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm.
Is that okay? Would you accept that?
Finally friendly amendment and, you know,
Okay.
I don't, you know, whoever, let this be one of the last meetings we talk about the.
Yeah, I
like
can
3.5 months,
The
yeah,
resolution.
let's hear it.
I actually don't favor this resolution, sort of for the reasons that Alice is articulating, which is unless we're just saying we don't want 5G and we're just gonna give up our phones and whatever because we don't want it, they've gotta be somewhere, and this is the least worst alternative of where they may be. And I prefer them there than on the sides of the buildings, for example. So, and this particular block, I was wondering why Landmarks was doing anything since I didn't think it was historic.
Well, they did, they really, we even knew about it was because it came to the office and then.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Why?
Because it comes for public comment, because it comes to your district. So you have a public comment period,
Okay, then
and if we don't do a resolution, then you can't provide public comment, and then you
That's-
say nothing. So the question, it really starts to become,
Well, I'm just speaking for myself. I would either vote against a negative. I'm not sure I'd necessarily pass a resolution saying that we like it either, but I think it's.
Well, I think the
acceptable.
qualifications that they're making, that Alice has made and that Jason's willing to take.
But none of those apply here. It's not a historic thing. It doesn't block any.
Did your committee, I haven't been to the site, did your committee, did you find an argument to say it is blocking a historic building like the ones that
Unfortunately
we?
not, because of its location. It's on the south side of Beekman Street. And the historic district is really to the west of it,
West.
with some of those beautiful, you know.
And I think you, then if you can't, then you're contradicting the two earlier resolutions we wrote, if you.
Well, look, if someone didn't come to a committee meeting that nobody else attended, except like me and two other people.
Right.
And they asked me to comment on it, so you get the good with the bad, right? Don't ask me to come to a meeting, and it's not you, I'm saying, don't OTI, waste my time
Right.
to come and then have not display it.
Well, I think the
Disagree,
point
I
is,
change it, but let's end the.
I think the point is where they place it and coming to us.
I'm glad they came, but we don't need to make a resolution every time they come.
Well, they didn't come.
They didn't
I don't
come.
know what you're glad about, and.
No, they didn't
Right.
even come. It's like,
Right, so I'm glad about that too, and I don't think we need to hold a meeting that people don't attend from the community to not talk about something that nobody from the community obviously cares about, so.
well, some of us do.
We do.
all right, so here's the thing, we have a resolution before us. The committee decided they didn't like it. I'm not sure how it ended in Landmarks, I'm not gonna comment on that, we have to make public comment. We either abstain from making public comment and we rescind the resolution, table it, or whatever the case may be. A parliamentarian, we need a vote on that. And otherwise, you do friendly amendments. It seems to say that you don't, it's a no unless, and the no unless is you don't like the design and something should be a little bit more.
I have a solution that Mike has about, first of all, I might just tone down the little bit of language in one of those whereas.
Do whatever you
I know
would,
you would,
that's
but
fine.
I would just say, here's a potential amendment. Whereas, as a whereas class, CB1 resolution on proposed locations of linked 5G towers in Community District 1, and I would then identify the resolution we wrote last month, supports the Manhattan Borough President's strategy of using existing public infrastructure for the addition of 5G service and calls for working with the city's sister agencies to carefully review this infrastructure. And then in the therefore be it resolved, CB1 urges that the LPC review the proposed pole top infrastructure when placed in or near historic districts and near city landmarks as is true at this location, and that the proposed modifications don't obstruct important historic views, and therefore be it further resolved, CB1 urges that the Public Design Commission review all proposed modifications of the existing infrastructure being used to receive 5G service. In other words, if we want to make any sort of amendment or any kind of resolution, it is to push the review of this type to the two agencies that should review it. Otherwise, I agree with Jeff. I'm not sure I see it.
Before I call on Justine, the way you would have to word that based on what committee says, and I wasn't at the committee, but the committee voted no, so it would have to be a no unless to match the committee, and what you're doing is you're asking for all of the things that Alice just said in terms of design improvements and going before PDC and utilizing the existing infrastructure.
There's no way to just take what Alice said and say, I like it enough to replace what I wrote?
Parliamentarian rules, because it looks like it's a negative resolution.
I think it's so different what we want, that it can't be changed. So we
But
have to.
Move the table, the resolution.
I think we table this resolution.
We do that.
Whatever you
That's
want.
the new one.
Table is a motion, has been made. Is it seconded?
Second
All right,
that.
so, thank you. Let's do a vote by affirmation. Are there any opposition to tabling this? Hearing none, any recusals? Nope, any abstentions? Perfect. So the
I
motion
have
is,
to vote, because I just came, and I vote to table.
Chang votes to table. Thank you and welcome, Rosa. You have to shoot this one. All right, so that's been tabled. The question becomes, because it's a public comment period, what are we doing for public comment? Because I'm gonna do a new business right on top of this now, so we can just finish it. What are we saying? Are we doing your note of your resolution?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
It was
Can't
that,
vote this one.
basically.
That basically, as Alice said, that's what we're fine. And I think
Bravo,
we're fine
Alice,
with that.
bravo.
Let's read it one more time out, and then we're gonna take a vote on it.
I just have one question. Should they come back to the community?
They didn't come.
No, but not now, but I don't want them now. God, no.
Justine, did you have a
But
question?
inform us.
That's good. I'll
Sorry.
just read it to everybody. You're
Okay,
right.
you know what?
Okay.
Now let's write it out. It's in the
Sorry.
record. Justine,
Sorry
do
to
you
be-
have any questions?
I do have a question if I can.
Oh, yes, Justine, go ahead.
I don't know.
Sorry, it's just like it's loud with you guys in the room. But I recall seeing this presentation and I don't remember where I saw it, in what committee, dear God in heaven, I don't remember. But I remember one of the things that I don't hear anybody talking about is any research on the environmental impact to people of these 5G towers. Because I remember,
We've done that.
We did
I
it.
can't hear you.
That is not the topic of this, because this is simply a citing public comment. There's no conversation except for the citing of it. That conversation that you're talking about happened last month in environmental protection with
Okay.
people who came and spoke. So
I mean, we could identify in the resolution we wrote, that we've already
Don't let's
identified
get
that this.
into that.
And we're gonna tag the work that we did last month in with this month, with our comment, as Alice read it out, to send back for public comment.
That sounds fair, because yeah, I remember, that's fair, thank you. Because I do like Alice's language, thank you.
I hate to be a negative person, but I would oppose that resolution as well.
That's
For the
fine.
following reason, these things are everywhere, and I don't think it's an appropriate to have, every time you want to put up a little transmitter, there's hundreds of them out there, that you're gonna have some sort of agency hearing on, yes, this transmitter can go on this building, this transmitter can go on this. They're everywhere now, and it just seems ridiculous. This is,
I thought about that. I agree with you in a way, but I was wondering if when they're in historic districts or they're in front of landmarks, maybe there should be some
maybe.
recognition.
I think there should be some acknowledgement, but Frances was just saying, and I think she's right, we have no idea how many we are talking about at all.
Even if, I mean, they're everywhere, but how many is everywhere?
We also don't know what the modifications are, and that's
Right.
the only part I do feel is that the Public Design Commission has to look at all furnishing, right? You look at a bench, they have to approve a bench, so
If you wanted to have like a policy thing that addresses all of them at once, maybe that makes sense. If there are hundreds, if not thousands of these things, and if you think LPC or anybody else is gonna look at every single one of them.
No.
it just sounds
I think we would be asking for the PVC to look at
on the 30.
modifications to the design, significant modifications to the design of rethinking the existing infrastructure. I don't know, I put this in just to sort of be helpful. I don't really feel strongly myself, so.
All right, so somebody,
I leave it to you.
are we doing a new resolution or are we saying nothing? We can say nothing
I
and
know
just
to say nothing at this point.
I agree.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be doing half-baked resolutions.
You know what I think about saying nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, if we want to say something later, we can figure out
It's not
something
ideal.
to say.
No, there's no, we have to do it now.
But someone should go there. I mean, we don't have an objection to this particular.
Then we say yes.
No,
What?
I don't see why we have to say yes or no.
Because this is the only opportunity you have to say something. That's it.
Does that mean they won't?
I don't think
Something committee. That's it. We shouldn't be.
the community board can speak of every single light pole that goes up in the.
Public
district.
comment, that is the way government works.
I know.
If we say, you either say yes, no, or abstain from saying. So they said no in committee, we turned down, we decided to table
You
that.
understand that?
Mm.
This is part of the conversation. You can't just say,
Well, I have a motion saying which was seconded.
I declare that, that's fine. Sorry. All right, so then we are abstaining from commenting on this.
Well, vote no, then it, we have a vote now, so let's vote.
So the vote is to abstain from commenting.
Say that.
No, Alice.
We can't
It's been proposed,
vote
It's
against
been
it.
seconded,
It's on the floor.
now it's on the floor. So
Okay,
the
nothing about
vote,
this particular one.
the vote is to not provide public comment on any installation of mobile telecommunications
No, just watch that.
at this location at William Street between Beekman and Ann.
Yes.
So this particular notification, yes.
For this one,
For this particular notification, if they wanted to.
we will
put a
abstain
500
from
foot tower
comment.
in,
Say yes.
Everybody understand, we are voting to abstain from comment on this location. So our public comment will be, we abstain from commenting on this location.
So that's.
So with that, this is a vote of affirmation. Are there any no's?
No.
Okay, Corman is a no. Jerry is a no.
Lerner votes no.
Lerner votes no.
Hold on. Learn it, Joe.
No is to vote
We voted to table.
against Jeff's resolution.
We voted to table, which passed unanimously. This is a new resolution that votes to abstain from commenting on this location.
Can I ask a
We
question?
need a resolution to abstain.
No, because we're in the middle of vote. This is public comment.
So here's.
I vote no to it.
Peter said no, Cole said no.
No, wait. Silence.
How can you not comment and then you want to comment on all the others? It doesn't make sense.
Okay, Joe, Joe
You
voted.
comment on all of them or none of them.
Joe? No. Okay, fine. Roll call. Roll call. All right, blank.
I'm abstaining.
You're saying.
Christel.
I'm abstaining.
Shane.
We're.
We are providing no comment to the location of having
Reason was we made the comment. We're not saying we're not making a comment, we're just not making a comment.
Yeah, discuss the
I'm
comments.
sorry to laugh. This is crazy. Why can't we just not comment?
That's
Yeah.
we say nothing, we don't. tell
Keep
people-
going.
Chapman. All
Say
right, you know what? We're gonna table it. Did you vote?
We have a motion on the
This makes
floor.
no sense.
Let's
With
vote.
Jeff clarifying,
Right.
it makes no sense to vote. If you're
Right.
not gonna say anything, then the tabling stands and you just don't respond.
That's fine.
I understood that. Stop. I understood that his motion was to say, we have chosen not to comment.
No, that was not.
And this was a misunderstanding. His note is not actually making a motion. by tabling it, we have no comment, we don't
I was
respond.
tending to kind of move on.
Madam Chairman, we're in the middle of a vote. We're in
No.
the middle
But it's
of a
not the
vote.
right vote, Joe.
The chair has spoken. That's it.
It's not the right vote. Jeff clarified, it's not a vote to say no comment. He just wanted to say nothing. And then if that's the case, then by tabling the motion, you say nothing, which we already voted to table.
Right.
There have to be.
Moving on.
Come on, it's
Right?
For new business, did you not?
I thought that's what Jeff was saying.
No, that was before Jeff said anything.
Oh, no.
Alice,
No. It's 9:10.
All right.
We're having a discussion.
It's 9:10.
Okay, guys. The resolution was tabled and the resolution passed for table. Alice's motion could not be added to that resolution because it was 100% in opposition to what was passed in committee. It would have to be taken up in new business, which is what we started to talk about. And no one could agree on having that as a resolution.
Right.
So the question was why, and then in the process of discussion, it became, why don't we say no comment? So I understood Jeff as saying, the motion was to make no comment, which means you reply in your public comment section of the office. Community board one is chosen not to comment.
No.
And then Jeff clarified and said, and so that's where I thought we were going. And then people were saying, no, we shouldn't not comment, we should comment. And then Jeff said, no, I'm just saying we just don't reply to the public comment. We just let it go away.
Which is the status quo. We already did.
And that is the status quo because we tabled the
Table the
resolution.
first resolution.
If by the time we get to the end of the meeting, somebody thinks that there's anything that needs to be brought up that's different, and they do want to comment in any way, shape, or form, we will take it at that point as new business, which gives you a couple minutes to digest the information. Okay, guys? And with that, let's go to the next committee.
Licensing. Thank you.
Oh, actually, I thought I would say that.
Yeah, you're up, Jeff.
Well,
No comment.
just been speaking. Nothing. Well, we had a very, very short meeting. Extremely, report, a brief, security report, a brief update report. Park City Authority has spent a fair amount of time on our, budget priorities, which we've already voted on here. So that's the end of the report.
Thank you, Jeff.
Don't worry, we don't like.
Susan, I need you to be quiet. They
I'm
can
so
hear you
sorry.
online.
I'm so sorry.
They can hear you
God,
guys
I blame
online
Susan.
very well. And I've already gotten yelled at that it's muddy on our recording. Next committee is Susan Cole, please lead.
Okay, so we can take everything but 18 William Street, okay? Because I want to just give a little explanation, but you can take all of it, Tribeca, Battery Park City, the financial district, all but 18 can vote on them. Jim?
Quick question. 157 Duane, that's the old PDO restaurant that closed, and I think they were the partner for the open street that was there.
Oh,
That's-
I didn't know.
They've got-
No,
Okay, and also in the resolution, it says that that this is not meant to support any future outdoor dining.
that's
Right.
correct.
Is that's just?
That's just de rigueur now.
Okay.
That's what we do.
Great.
So it's gonna come back to us and
Yeah.
whatever.
And because it's a different restaurant, they would have to do a brand new
Sure.
application for open streets and show everything that goes with it and be willing to do whatever the application.
Right, that's how we've said it.
It's not an open grant
Right.
rolling.
So you can take all those. I
Okay,
can call
so,
a question, whatever.
the question has been called. Was it seconded?
Second.
All right. This is all of Tribeca. Everybody needs to understand it's 1 and 2. All of North Battery Park City, financial district number 1, 3, 4, and 5. It does not include 18 William. With all of those, are there any comments, questions, or abstentions? No's, abstentions, or recusals to any of those locations? Hearing none, seeing none online, motion passes unanimously for all of those. 18 William will be the last one, and it will be
A roll call.
a roll call.
So they came to us, this is immersion, submersion, we don't know what the hell it's called.
Submersive.
So, you know, and, they were supposed to come back to us and with all these, ways of, monitoring their system and they have, it's this gorgeous building that goes all the way down 4 flights and it's acting and all kinds of things. And, they came back and, wanted more extensive hours and you can see the modifications. And we just have to monitor them. We gave them some extended hours. It fronts on, the real issue for all of us is their apartments all around it and their apartments in the building. And so the concern is traffic, pickup, drop off. The concern is people leaving places, and the issue is when they leave, if there's no security, they walk a block, they scream, they're drunk, they carry on, and that's always the problem for people who live there. So they wanted extra hours, we didn't give it to them, we made some modifications. We're okay with it, but like anything else that I've learned in licensing, they have to watch like a hawk. Because they'll yes you to death and then they won't do it. So that's where we are. So I'm not, you know.
They're a venue with an extremely large capacity. And they have several floors and they got a lot going on.
What's been there before?
Nothing. It was the bank. That fabulous, gorgeous Bankers Trust building, 4 flights down, Cornwell or whatever his name was, lived there. There's a coffee shop on the 1st floor in the back.
Which was the first thing they came to us for, that was,
Fabulous,
right?
by the way.
That was the first.
Remember, the public was.
Actually.
Street level.
Yeah, and you walk in, there's a great mural. It's really a fabulous place. And nobody has any trouble with it. And so far, they've been pretty good, in all fairness to them.
This is Sleep
The
No More.
coffee shop.
Yeah, originally Sleep No More.
That's what this is, right?
Well, I think it is, but I'm so dazed and confused about it, Jared. I think it's the same ownership. All right?
This is.
It's the same ownership,
Yeah.
but it's now submersive, and they're doing some play. Each floor and you follow around.
Is the 9 bathrooms 9 stalls or 9 separate bathrooms?
9 separate bathrooms. And it was this guy who made this elixir. It was his residence. It's an amazing thing. And they had a tour for all of us. I went on the tour. It's phenomenal. I have to tell you, I've not seen anything like it. You know, it was somebody like a JP Morgan or whomever and had this home that was under the bank and all these vaults still exist. It's very exciting to see.
And we can get another tour.
I think you should all go.
If there's more interest in it, if we can reach back out to her and do a tour.
It's really worth it.
Is this one Wall Street?
No, it's 18 William.
King William. But all of you should go, really. It's an amazing.
Do we have any?
So can we call the
questions?
questions?
Do we have any questions in the room? I see no questions in the room. I see no questions online. Roll call, take us home.
All right, Blank,
Yes.
thank you. Cassell,
Yes.
thank you. Chang,
Yes.
thank you. Chapman,
Yes.
thank you. Charcudian, Cole,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Corman,
Yes.
good job.
I know, it's a note, but we bought it.
Yeah.
She answered.
Curtis,
Curtis, yes.
Glenn, yes.
I did say it.
Friedman, thank you. Broman,
Bowman, yes.
thank you. Galloway,
Galloway, yes.
thank you. Goodkind,
Yes.
thank you. Hernandez,
Yes.
thank you. Joyce,
Joyce, yes.
thank you. Kay,
Okay, yes.
thank you. Powell,
Who was that?
Warner, Warner,
Lerner, yes.
thank you. Lewinson,
Yes.
thank you. Lyon,
Lyon, yes.
thank you. Melter,
Meltzer, yes?
thank you. Minsley,
Minsley, yes.
Thank you. Moore?
More, yes.
You. Kenya?
Yeah, Michelle here.
Thank you. Portia Corey?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes to this one.
Scott?
Yes.
Thank you. Sheer?
Yep.
Star?
Yes.
Simi Son?
Yes.
I think you still have more.
You?
Oh, my God.
Andrew,
Zelter, yes.
Thank you.
thank you.
And Meltzer was a yes. I forgot to call him, but that's okay. All right, Meltzer is a yes, and with that, at 7. I wish.
You're in your great.
At 9:20.
9:20.
Normal, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Happy birthday, Richard, and we're out.